Illinois State head coach Todd Berry has taken the Redbird football program to a new level. The Birds are ranked 7th in the nation.
I do like our football team right now. I think that we have some athleticism. We seem to be highly motivated. And if we continue to work hard, I think there's going to be some good things that are going to happen for this whole football team down the road.
Berry's Birds are bolstered by all-everything quarterback Kevin Glenn, who already as a junior has established the Illinois State total offense record. He can hurt opponents by running the football or throwing it to high-octane receivers like Walter James, who has emerged the last 2 weeks as one of the leaders on the Redbird offense. But there's also Avion Cason, who can catch it, run it, and return it for big plays. Today, the Illinois State Redbirds will try to protect their house on a Family Day game against the battle-tested, gateway-tough Indiana State Sycamores. The nation's best 1AA football conference welcomes you to Normal, Illinois, the home of the Illinois State University Redbirds. We're at Hancock Stadium, where today the Indiana State Sycamores take on the number 7 ranked team in the country, the Illinois State Redbirds. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mitch Holtis. The thing that's normal here at Illinois State is that the Redbirds score points. They've scored 40 points in their last 8 home games. I'm joined now by former NFL player and former Washington Husky J.C. Pearson. These two teams prove that you can get to the same place by going different roads.
That's exactly right. We've got the 2 best rushing attacks in the Gateway Conference, but very, very different in styles. For Illinois State, it is speed, speed, and more speed, with running backs Avion Cason and Walter James, who rushed for 171 yards last week. But you can never forget about the quarterback, Kevin Glenn. He is the man for Illinois State, and already he is the all-time total offense leader in Illinois State history. For Indiana State, quarterback Sheridan Fox is the guy that makes this triple option wishbone attack work. He is the team's leading rusher, and Mitchie is looking to have a big game here today.
What about defending these 2 quarterbacks? Let's check in with Rich Baldinger.
Yeah, Mitch, I'll tell you, for Indiana State, if they want to stop that high-powered offense, it's going to start right in the trenches. And they've got their emotional leader back today, and Troy Lefevre at right defensive end. But the key matchup's going to be Shannon Jackson against Aaron Peterson, a freshman at right tackle. He's going to have to get some pressure on the quarterback if they're going to want to stop this Illinois State offense.
We'll check in with the starting lineups and have the kickoff. After this, you're watching Gateway Conference football. State Redbirds, the number 7 team in the nation at the 1AA level, as they host the Indiana State Sycamores. The weather has been rough this morning. It's been raining all day long, but it's breaking here just at game time and should give us decent conditions as you see the cloudy skies here at Hancock Stadium. But usually the thing that rains here at Illinois State is points. Amazingly, Illinois State 8 consecutive games, J.C. Pearson, where they have scored at least 40 points at home.
They've got a lot of weapons offensively, and they're led by the quarterback, Kevin Glenn. This guy can do it all, Mitch. He can throw the ball, makes very good decisions, and when there's no one open, he can pull it down and run it as well.
Indiana State head coach Tim McGuire has faced the toughest schedule of any 1AA team in the country. They had to play at Oklahoma. They played at Iowa State. They played at nationally ranked Eastern Kentucky and lost last week in their first home game to nationally ranked Youngstown State.
They've had a very tough schedule, but Tim McGuire, he likes that. He said that it does nothing but make this team tougher and better. Even though they haven't won any games, they played against very good competition, and down the line it's going to pay off for them.
Tim has a good pedigree, a graduate of Nebraska. So does Todd Berry, a graduate of the University of Tulsa, who has really just energized this Illinois State football program. Last year, they went to the 1AA playoffs for the first time in school history, and this year he's in the top 10.
And as I said, these guys from Illinois State, offensively, they are explosive. They play this wide-open offense, 3 wide receivers. They've got those explosive running backs, and the guy, as we said, at quarterback, Mr. Glenn, who makes it all work for him.
A lot of team speed on this Illinois State sideline, while Indiana State has decent athletes as well. Good-sized crowd here. It's Family Day at Hancock Stadium. The weather maybe deterred some. They were expecting close to a sellout here, but they had a good pre-sale on tickets. As you take a look at the Big Red Marching Machine and the Illinois State dance team, it's still a good crowd on hand as the weather breaks for us just at kickoff. Good fans here who have liked the resurgence of Illinois State football under Todd Berry. Overall, a great athletic program. Let's take a look at the series. Has been a tough one. Indiana State has done an excellent job against Illinois State in recent years. In fact, the Sycamores lead the overall series by 6 games. Last year, I mentioned Illinois State likes to score 40 points. Last year was 24-20, JC, and it took a 98-yard pass play by the Redbirds to win the game.
The longest in Illinois State history. So these teams, don't let the records fool you. These two teams are very tough against one another. And Indiana State, as we said, even though they're 0-4, they played some very, very good teams, and they feel very good about their chances here today.
Avion Cason, last time we had him 2 weeks ago, he set an Illinois State record for total offense. He brought back the opening kickoff in that game, 90-plus yards for a touchdown, and he'll get things started here as Mike Medjussi will kick it off, a true freshman for Indiana State. Cason takes it a yard deep, and he's going to bring it out, taking a reverse, and gets taken down with good coverage by Indiana State special teams coverage at the 18-yard line. And Illinois State will have the ball at its own 19, so very different than the way they started the game. We had them 2 weeks ago, and they ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. But Kevin Glenn, an outstanding quarterback, a guy that's perfect for this offense.
Exactly right, Mitch. And he's a guy who can do it all. As we said, he can throw it as well as run it. And in this wide-open offense, the decision-making relies on him, whether or not to throw the ball, pitch it, or run it.
You can see the Birds spread the field. Glenn on first down will throw the ball, and he gets it up to the 34-yard line for a gain of 15 yards, as on the reception was Jacob Neat, coming off an injury. As let's take a look now at the lineups. Illinois State's offensive line, a solid group in this offense. Many times they have to be the guys that get it done. They don't get much help in protection, but they've done a good job this year. And here's where Illinois State really will get you: a lot of speed and also some talent on that side of the football. After the 15-yard pickup, Kevin Glenn will give it off this time to James. And James will get short yardage and gain just a couple yards into the middle of the Indiana State defense as Joe Helbush makes the hit for Indiana State. Take a gander at the Sycamores. Rich Baldinger mentioned Shannon Jackson on the outset of the show. Very, very good. And they've got Troy Lefebvre back from injury on the right side. Those two guys can bring the heat from both sides. This is an active group. The linebackers will be busy today against this Illinois State offense. And the guy to watch for is safety DeJuan Alfonso, a pro prospect at free safety for Indiana State.
He's a very good free safety, Mitch, and he can do it all. He's very good in run defense, but he also is very good in pass defense as well.
Illinois State facing 2nd and 8. This will be a quarterback draw, and Glenn, who can also run the ball with the plum as well as throw it, has a first down as he crosses the 45 and has failed at the 46 for a gain of 10 yards.
And that's what makes him so dangerous. Not only can he throw the ball, but he'll pull it down and run it in a heartbeat, and we can see it develop, and we'll see the hole right here. He just follows his running back right through the hole. That's a designed play, and you can see Kevin Glenn, when he's running the football, he's just like another running back.
And a good lead block that time by Willie Watts, a sophomore from Dunellen, Florida. Part of a large stable of skill players for Illinois State. Glenn slipping, and he's got Preisker over the middle to tie it in, and he's down to the Indiana State 35-yard line. And that goes as a gain of 19 yards, and Kevin Glenn now is the all-time passing leader in Illinois State history.
Kevin Glenn does a good job. You'll see he'll have a little slip on this wet turf right there, but he does a good job of keeping his balance. Indiana State plays a lot of zone coverages, so they're going to be susceptible underneath, right behind those inside backers and underneath those safeties. That's where Illinois State is going to look to attack today.
Yet to play 2 minutes. Illinois State driving right down the field. A first down at the Indiana State 35. This is a counter, and James gets whacked and will gain nothing at the 35. Good penetration by Mike Bandy, an inside linebacker for Indiana State.
Indiana State, their defensive philosophy coming into the ball game is to stop the run. And you can see there, it looks like there's a hole right there, but Indiana State does a good job of collapsing the hole. What they want to do is stop the run, keep Kevin Glenn in the pocket, and get some heat on him. They think if he has to throw the ball all game, that he's a different kind of player, and that's what they want to try to do, is make him one-dimensional.
The Redbirds now face 2nd and 10. And again, you see the 3 wide receiver formation at the top of the screen. This time it's Glenn on the bootleg. Trying to elude the Sycamores. He's just going to keep it. And the speedy Glenn will get to the 30-yard line and gain 5 yards. Corey Pierce, an outside linebacker, really an extra strong safety, will be credited for the tackle for Indiana State.
He goes out of bounds at the Sycamore 30-yard line.
Indiana State does a good job of staying deep and covering. That's what you want to do. On this boot right here, you see everyone is rolling left, and Glenn tries to buy some time outside, but what they want him to do in this situation is run the football. They don't want to come up trying to stop him and give up the play, the deep pass over their heads.
Keep in mind, Indiana State did an excellent job last year of defending this high-octane Illinois State offense. 3rd and 5 for the Redbirds at the Indiana State 30. Glenn finds Preisker over the middle, and Preisker with forward motion will get to the 24, and that will be an Illinois State first down. Robin Johnson on the stop, but now Illinois State twice, JC, goes over the middle to the tight end.
And you can see Preisker is going to be a big part of this offense. You see he just sets up right over the ball underneath those linebackers and in front of those safeties. What he wants to do is just find an open spot and sit down for a first down.
Now, what do you do defensively against this offense? You have to pick your poison. You play man, you zone. What do you do against it?
That's why it's so difficult, Mitch, because you've got to pick your poison. As you said, if you're going to commit to stopping the run, you've got to place a man outside and risk getting hit with the deep ball, as we're going to see right here. Quarterback option.
And he gets stood up this time. Shannon Jackson, the outstanding defensive end out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, sniffs out the quarterback draw and throws down Kevin Glenn for a loss of about 4.
Indiana State wants those front 4 guys, especially Shannon Jackson and Lefevre, to get upfield and get in the face of this guy. You see they just stun and brings Shannon Jackson underneath. They want him to have a huge game today, because if they can get him untracked and get heat with 4 men, then they don't have to blitz and they can sit those linebackers back in coverage.
Glenn 3 for 3 passing for 41 yards, facing a passing down here, 2nd and 13 at the Sycamore 27. They will counter option. Glenn will keep it, and he will break tackles but get just to the 22. It's a gain of 5. He'll be well short of a first down. He'll still be 3rd and long, and that time Illinois State took out a page of Indiana State's playbook.
That's right, but I don't think that's a very good page for them to use today, because Indiana State sees that option every day in practice, so you can better believe they know how to defend the option.
And Kevin Glenn already rushing the football 4 times in the game. Illinois State out of the huddle quickly. They have 3rd and 8 at the 22 of the Indiana State defense. Kason, the lone setback. Glenn sings one that is caught on a diving catch made at the 10-yard line in front of the Indiana State zone. The catch made by Ricky Garrett, the senior wide receiver for the Redbirds.
There's going to be a lot of room underneath these deep 3 coverages that right here, and you can see the corners playing a little soft right there. And Illinois State, they nickel and dime you. They want you to bite up, and you can see right here he just runs a curl route. He's got a lot of room. The cornerback's not even in the picture right here. They want that cornerback to start easing up so they can run that hitch and go and beat them deep.
Redbirds working on a 5-minute drive at this point. First down, they can still get a first down before reaching the end zone. Neats in motion. Now a fumble. Kason picks it up on the turf and gets roped to the turf by Delbert Mims, who wraps Kason up.
Indiana State does a good job defensively, because they know Kason wants to get to the corner. If they can prevent him from getting to the corner, then they know they've done a good job. They want him to hit it up inside, because they don't feel that he's a very tough runner in between the tackles.
Illinois State has done a good job on converting long-distance plays. They face 2nd and 10 here. Again, they can pick up a first down before reaching the end zone. This time in the backfield, it's Willie Watts for the Redbirds. As you take a look at our field level cam, long count this time by Glenn. Slip screen. It goes to the far side, and well defended at the 9-yard line by DeJuan Alfonso, the safety for Indiana State, as on the reception for the Redbirds was Troy Hunter.
DeJuan Alfonso does an extremely good job, because this is a tough play to defend. You see, he just runs to the flat. DeJuan Alfonso does a good job in man coverage of getting out there and not getting blocked, because if he doesn't make that play, he's got 2 receivers in front of him blocking downfield.
A great example of Alfonso's speed there, JC, of covering a lot of ground in a hurry.
And that's what they're going to have to do today, when in this wide open offense puts a lot of pressure on those linebackers and defensive backs to cover a lot of ground.
3rd and 8.5 at the 9. Glenn sets up, zings it for the end zone. It's an Illinois State touchdown. Ricky Garrett picks up his 2nd touchdown of the season, but his 19th career touchdown reception. And Illinois State again converts on 3rd down to take the lead.
what a good-looking drive. They get the opening kickoff. They put some plays together. They mix the run and the pass, and they drive all the way down, get the touchdown from Garrett to Ricky Garrett, from Glenn to Ricky Garrett.
So for Kevin Glenn on the drive, 5 for 5 passing, 55 yards. 6 for 6, I should say, for 63 yards, and 4 of 17 on the rush. And the point after by Jake Strader of Illinois State is good. 8:37 left in the first quarter. The Redbirds go on an 81-yard drive as Kevin Glenn underlines the sentence and hits Ricky Garrett. And the Birds hit Kevin Glenn. He just engineered a 13-play, 82-yard drive. Illinois State leads 7-0.
As we said, he makes great decisions, and you can see he was 6 for 6 on that particular drive for 63 yards. Big plays coming to the tight end, Prusker, right over the middle, in front of those safeties and in back of those linebackers in that 3-deep zone.
I need to ask you, though, it looked like soft coverage even at the end zone because the cornerback not in great position to make the play against the touchdown pass.
In the red zone, you've got to tighten up your coverage. You can't backpedal into the end zone because any catch in front of you is a touchdown. As a cornerback, you've got to stop on the goal line, make the receiver go around you and play underneath him at that point.
Whip kick is picked up by the talented safety of Indiana State. That is DeJuan Alfonso. And he'll get decent field position for the Sycamores at the 29-yard line. Indiana State. Let's take a look back at the touchdown, and I want to watch the corner here and how he plays it.
You can see, we can't see it here right now, but the cornerback is already in the end zone. That does him no good. You see him 3 yards deep in the end zone. He's got good coverage, but any catch in front of him is a touchdown. And that was Michael Brooks, the cornerback, number 23. He's got to know that when he's in the red zone, especially at the goal line, he's got to stop right there and play underneath that wide receiver.
Indiana State runs the wishbone, a broken bone type look, and this is Nelson on the pitch. Illinois State will chase him down and strips the ball loose, but it's out of bounds. And Indiana State will pick up a gain of 5 yards to the 34. Sam Young on the stop. Let's take a look at Indiana State. Their offensive line much different in their blocking scheme because they run the wishbone. But a pretty good group that gives them opportunities to quarterback Sheraton Fox, we've already talked about. Now, these 3 backs in the backfield all have transferred from service academies. I will talk about that later in the show. And Marcus Clayton had a big reception last week against Youngstown State. 2nd and 5 for Indiana State. Again out of the bone, and they'll pitch it again to the halfback. This is Sessom. Jared Sessom is ankle tackled at the top of the screen as free safety Sam Young makes his 2nd consecutive tackle. This Illinois State defense, an opportunistic group, and a group that has made some big plays this year. Devin Finn, 6'7", 280, anchors the middle along with Indiana State transfer Damian Gregory. I'm sorry, Indiana transfer Damian Gregory. In the linebackers and secondary, you see Sam Young, who's already made 2 tackles. How important is he against this wishbone offense?
Very important, Mitch. And these guys are normally an attacking, blitzing type of defense, but you can't do that against this kind of offense. You have to be more of a reading type of defense and be much more disciplined. As we see Sam Young again come up to make the tackle, he's going to be big today because he is responsible for the pitch man.
But give credit to Indiana State as Indiana State picks up the first down on the option pitch out of the spread option.
And you'll see Sam Young at the top of the screen. He's just eyeing the pitch man. That is his responsibility. As a defensive unit, you have got to be very disciplined. Every man is responsible for something in this triple wishbone attack. You can't go peeking and trying not to do your job and do someone else's because then you're going to get beat.
You see the spread option look. This time they will run the counter. One of the favorite plays of Indiana State. And again it goes to Nelson, who runs out of room on the short side, forced out at the 45 after a gain of 4. Adam Waugh forced him out for Illinois State. Matt Nelson started his career at Navy, went to the Naval Academy for a while, and then transferred to Indiana State. You see his numbers for the year. Jared Sessom started his career at Air Force. John Affinger started his career at Air Force. And why not, JC? Those service academies run this same kind of offense.
Same exact offense. And for Indiana State, this is their 2nd year running this offense, so that everyone is much more comfortable in this offense, and it's translating into production.
Sheraton Fox kicks it out to Jared Sessom, and the former Air Force Falcon is bumped out. after a gain of just 1 yard. And Sam Young is headed for triple digits in tackles today. He makes another one.
And defensively, as we said, we'll take a look at Sam Young again at the top. He's just eyeing and spying that pitch man because that's what he's responsible for. What Indiana State said in the pregame is that they want to run that pitch, get Sam Young to start coming up, and then try to hit Illinois State over the top with a long pass.
Let's see if Sheraton Fox and the Indiana State offense can convert on 3rd down and 6 from their own 46. Fox will keep it following up the middle of the defense, and Sheraton Fox is going to go all the way. This is going to be a touchdown for the Indiana State Sycamores. It is a touchdown run of 54 yards for Fox, who had some big plays last week against Youngstown State. This time just followed his fullback up the middle and goes to the end zone.
And that's why this attack is so hard to defend, is no one really knows where the ball is going to go except for Sheraton Fox. You see, he fakes the dive right here, and he just follows his fullback right through the middle. The defense overplayed the pitch, and that left the middle wide open for Sheraton Fox.
Let's go down now to Rich Baldinger.
Yeah, Mitch, on that last play there, you know, this wishbone is designed for the quarterback to keep the ball. And the one thing that Coach Berry said they had to do today was play disciplined defense and force the pitch so their defense could come over the top. That time they didn't do it. Quarterback followed his fullback right through for a touchdown.
Mike Medjusky kicks the extra point. We're tied at 7 and maybe headed for another Gateway Conference shootout, this time at Illinois State. And Rich Baldinger in Normal, Illinois. A look at Sheraton Fox, who just broke off a 54-yard run right up the middle of the Illinois State defense.
Did a good job of following his fullback right up through the middle of that Illinois State defense, and the middle was wide open. And we'll see right here, number 7, Marcus White. He's responsible for the quarterback right here. But instead of going to attack the quarterback, he just sits and he runs out to the pitch guy, which opens up the middle right there for Fox. And everyone else is overplayed to the pitch man. As I said earlier, Mitch, everybody has to be very disciplined and do their own job. If not, you're going to get gashed like they just got gashed for a long touchdown.
And there's the gasher, Sheraton Fox, and the scoring drive. 6 plays, 71 yards. It took just a minute and 56 seconds. The kickoff went beyond the end zone, so Illinois State has the ball after a touchback at the 20. Kason, with all that speed, gets cut down for a loss. Knocked down at the 18-yard line as Corey Pierce came up to 4th strong for the Indiana State defense.
Corey Pierce did a good job of coming up outside and not letting Kason get around the corner, and that's exactly what Illinois State wants to do with Kason, use his speed to get outside. And Indiana State is very aware of that, and their game plan coming in was to try to make Kason stay between the tackles because they think they can get after him in there.
Interestingly enough, Illinois State's scoring drive took 6 minutes and 23 seconds. They're more of the quick strike team, while Indiana State's took just 1:56. They're more of the long drive kind of team. Illinois State spreading it out again on 2nd and long. Kevin Glenn is in trouble. Glenn gets rid of the football, and they're going to say he is sacked. They're going to say he's down, that his progress was stopped, and there's an injured player. Kevin Glenn appears to be injured. Indiana State stood up Kevin Glenn back inside the 10-yard line, and they're going to rule him down by contact, and Glenn is also injured on the play. Shannon Jackson came strong.
And that can be a huge injury for Illinois State. We take a look. You see right here, Lefevre does a good job of getting pressure on Glenn and just gets him tangled up right there. It looks like it's a left knee right there, and hopefully that's not going to be too bad. But what caused that was a great combination of coverage right here. You see they're sitting underneath in those zones, and there's nobody to throw the ball to let those front four get to Kevin Glenn. Just rolled his leg up there on this wet turf.
Kevin Glenn, a tough kid, 5'10", 190 out of Detroit. He already, we mentioned, has the total offense record here, and today set the passing record here at Illinois State University. But he is down with an injury, and Todd Berry cannot like this. We are tied at 7-7 as Todd Berry looks on with concern as his quarterback writhing in pain inside the 10-yard line. Tied here in the first quarter. We'll be seeing that Todd Berry and everybody connected with Illinois State does not want to see. They're all everything quarterback, J.C. Pearson. Kevin Glenn, the quarterback, being taken off the field.
Yeah, you don't like to see that, Mitch. He can barely put any weight on that leg. As we take a look at it, we see he gets a lot of heat right here, and he just gets rolled up, and we can't really see his left leg right there, but it bent in a way that didn't really look very promising, and hopefully he's going to be okay.
leg. Yeah, he can't put any pressure on the left leg at all. Now a new quarterback for Illinois State. It's Ryan Spielman. He's a senior from Kankakee, Illinois, but he hasn't played all that much because Kevin Glenn has most of the snaps. Take a look. Only 2 attempts all season long and has not completed a pass yet. He's only rushed the ball 1 time, and that was for -4 yards.
And that's really going to hamper this Illinois State offense. You can look to see a lot more running from Kason and James today because obviously by him not having the experience throwing the football, they're going to try to limit what he actually does with the ball when he gets it.
Jake Strader, all Gateway Conference selection, will have to punt from his own end zone. And all of a sudden, this game takes a very, very distinct turn. Strader punts from his own end zone. This will be very returnable. It's taken by Juan Alfonso at midfield. Nice couple blocks. He's at the 35 and gets across the 25. Now fumbles the ball. And it is still loose inside the 10. A scramble for the ball at the 1. And it looks like the Indiana State Sycamores jump on the ball at the 1-yard line. Indiana State has it.
Juan Alfonso, we talked about him playing free safety, and he does it all. Good run support, good pass defender, and an excellent punt returner. As we saw, he's got to put that ball away when he's running it. We're going to take a look. He actually makes a good catch on a punt right there above his head. And look how he's carrying that ball like a loaf of bread. He's got to put that thing away. Does a good job of hurdling right here, but he's got that ball loose, and it gets popped out of there. They're very lucky to get that ball back, Mitch.
And give credit, it looks like Tony Albrink was the man who covered up the fumble for Indiana State. Tony Albrink covers up the fumble, and now Indiana State can take the lead with a drive start at the Illinois State 1-yard line. 4:40 left in the quarter. The game is tied. Sheraton Fox on the sneak. And he is knocked down short of the goal line. No, they're going to give it to him. As they unpile, they give Sheraton Fox the touchdown. And Fox has his 2nd touchdown rushing of this game and his 3rd in 2 weeks.
A 1-yard drive. That's how you always want to start, Mitch, if you can. A 1-yard drive for a touchdown set up by the punt return. But you can see Fox right here just follows his guard and tackle into the end zone.
So Kevin Glenn down with an injury. And then on an ensuing punt, Juan Alfonso with a big return. On a fumble recovered by Albrink, and now Indiana State takes the lead on a point after by Mike Megdersey. 4:33 left in the first quarter, and Indiana State working on an upset here, leading Illinois State 14-7 as Sheraton Fox. And there's a look on the other sideline at Kevin Glenn, who's in a lot of pain.
That's going to be very tough for Illinois State because the playbook for this week just shrunk dramatically, Mitch, with him going out.
And this is an offense that is predicated on opening things up, not only formation, but on the play calling. And now you kind of wonder what adjustment Todd Berry will have to make with a quarterback who's barely played.
We'll see if he makes any at all, or if he says, hey, we're going to continue to do what we do regardless of the personnel we have, or if he says, hey, our main guy is down, our guy that makes this whole thing click, so now we've got to back off a little bit and be a little more conservative.
And the other sideline, Tim McGuire, who has had a rough 4 weeks, 0-4. The Sycamores started but had the toughest schedule in 1AA football. At Oklahoma, at Iowa State, at Eastern Kentucky. And now all of a sudden his quarterback is healthy and walking around with 2 touchdowns, and Tim McGuire is thinking upset.
And the only concern that Tim McGuire had about that schedule was being 0-4. He didn't know how that was going to play mentally with this young football team. He knew that it would make him a lot tougher in the long run, but for this week, he didn't know how they were going to react, and so far they're reacting very positively.
And they picked up some guys back off the injury list, and Lefebvre and Jackson, and they both made an impact. A deep kick by the true freshman kicker for Indiana State, preventing a return by Avion Kason. It'll come out to the 20-yard line. 14-7, Indiana State, 4:28 left first quarter. And you might ask, who and what is 2Win Sports Marketing? That information and much more is available on their website at www.spelledout.twowin.com. www.2win.com. In sports marketing, 2Win means you win too. You see Illinois State quarterback Ryan Spielman in for the injured Kevin Glenn, has Walter James behind him as the lone setback. And and Spielman's going to throw it. As Spielman now will tuck it and gain yardage up to about the 25-yard line. And Spielman gets up limping all of a sudden as he grabs his left knee.
And he's not moving very well over there on the sideline. They can ill afford to go to their third quarterback, Dusty Burke.
As Indiana State very aggressive.
And they're going to have to tell this guy Spielman, hey, we can't afford to get you hurt also. You've got to throw that ball away and get rid of it. And you can see there's the guy right there, Kevin Glenn. They're still working on that knee.
We're going to check in on the injury to Kevin Glenn right after this play. Quarterback Spielman gained 4 yards on the scramble. This time it is James, and James gets a nice hole up the middle. Forward progress near a first down at the 29. Let's go down on the injury to Kevin Glenn. Here is Rich Baldinger.
Mitch, you know, you hate this AstroTurf, but I think the turf caught Glenn's foot here. The doctor said that basically it's just a sprained knee. He's going to keep him out. They're icing it down. From what I could see, there's not a whole lot of swelling. It looked like the knee was still pretty tight. They were testing for ligament damage, so hopefully later on when they do the MRI, everything comes out okay for him. Back to you.
But they're calling it a knee sprain.
And that's very good news, not only for Kevin Glenn, but for Illinois State.
Todd Berry, though, has to somehow try to win this game without his number one all-everything quarterback. A sneak by Spielman on 3rd down and inches. And it looks like the center, Ted Wolf, and the left guard, Dan Hamma, and the right guard, Mike Rodbro, create enough room to get the first down for the Redbirds.
And it looks like with Spielman, they're sticking to their entire playbook and letting him come out and throw the ball as well as mix it up. They've got Walter James in the ball game. We talked about how Indiana State was cutting off the perimeter. Walter James is that inside runner for Illinois State. So now it looks like they're going to try to attack inside.
Spielman to throw, and throws it behind Walter James, the intended receiver. He was well covered anyway by Dietrich Lapsley, but it'll be incomplete. So a safe pass attempted by the Redbirds, but still not well thrown by Spielman.
Yeah, not well thrown. That little swing pass that they throw very well, he's got to complete that. And what that does is helps them get some momentum going, but also gives him some confidence, Mitch, so that he can start throwing the ball downfield.
Spielman, who's carried the ball a couple times, under center with 2nd and 10. 2:41 left in the quarter. 14-7 Indiana State. This is James trying to get outside, and again he is ankle tackled. The speed of Shannon Jackson on pursuit, knocking down James for a loss of 1 to the 30. Let's go back to Rich Baldinger.
Yeah, no, Mitch, we've been watching this defensive line down here, and Troy Lefebvre and Shannon Jackson, I'll tell you, they're really beginning to dominate right now on the run and on the pass. And, you know, the one thing they talked about on those passing downs, that they were going to have to bring some stunts to bring some pressure, and that's what they've done. Unfortunately, Kevin Glenn caught the brunt of it. Back to you, Mitch.
Yeah, Spielman has yet to complete a pass this game or this year, and now he faces 3rd and 10 from his own 30-yard line. James could be a weapon for this team. Walter James, big week last week. We'll talk about that as the broadcast goes on. Spielman, it's the screen out of the backfield. It's back to the running back. It is Avion Cason, and Cason is short of a first down. Forced out at the 37, and will gain 7 yards, but 3 yards short of a first down.
Yeah, you can see, Mitch, that they're not real comfortable with Spielman throwing the ball downfield. They're giving him the real easy swing passes to throw and hopefully let their skill guys make a play. You see Cason just runs to the flat. Spielman just has to get the ball out to him, and they're hoping that Cason can use his speed and get the first down.
Now, I'm impressed, as we saw DeJuan Alfonso there again, I'm impressed with Indiana State's pursuit and the speed that they've shown defensively.
That's exactly right. They've done very well defensively, and they are so happy to have Shannon Jackson back, because not only is he a great player, he's their emotional leader as well.
DeJuan Alfonso gets stood up with good special teams coverage by Illinois State. As Illinois State getting down the field for the Redbirds, Scott Cook was there on punt coverage for Illinois State. There is a penalty on the play. It is an illegal block in the back on Indiana State.
Well, now defensively, Illinois State has got to pick it up. They've got to make some things happen, create some turnovers. Now that Kevin Glenn is out and their offense is going to be a little more limited, they've got to come up and step up and make some big plays to get some points on the board.
38-yard punt, 7 yards on the return. However,
on the return, illegal block in the back, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
And that gives Indiana State the ball at its own 22-yard line.
And we'll see right here the block in the back, right there. Whenever you can't get your head in front, they're going to catch you every time. And the old saying is, if you can't see his numbers in the front, you don't need to be blocking him.
Sheridan Fox in that spread option look. You see the two halfbacks line up outside the tackles. Fox is going to throw it on first down. He doesn't throw it much, and there's wide. Interception by Alfred Corbin, his third of the year, and Corbin has some room to run. Alfred Corbin is out of bounds at the Indiana State 37-yard line.
And that's why they don't put the ball in the air very often. That's not what they do best, but what they were trying to do is hoping that they could get Illinois State thinking option and hit them over the top for a long pass. Did not work for Indiana State. They've got to come back. As we take a look at it, we see Shannon Fox with just the straight drop back, and he's not the guy with the strong arm. He takes a shot right there also, but the ball is well short.
A 22-yard interception return. And there's Kevin Glenn trying to peek a look at the field. As the trainer said, hey, it's an interception for the good guys for his team. And they get the turnover. It's the 8th interception of the season for Illinois State's defense. Now the Birds trailing 14-7, 1:29 left in the first quarter. Delay handoff, and this goes to Cason, and Cason will gain 5 yards. Now let's be honest here, JC. This Illinois State team, the defense, has been able to kind of ride the offensive wave. Now all of a sudden with Kevin Glenn out of the lineup, Todd Berry looks to his defense, and they will have to maybe win this football.
They're going to have to step up today and get some turnovers to allow their offense to get points on the board or score themselves defensively, because obviously, as we said, with Spielman in the ball game, they're going to be limited as to what they can do offensively.
And yet Indiana State defensively has been able to run to the football just like that. Good penetration by the Sycamores, as shooting through is Joe Hellebush.
Those guys up front, those front four, especially with Jackson and Lefevre up front, they're going to get a lot of heat on these guys from Illinois State. And now that Kevin Glenn is out, they're going to try to get a lot more heat on Spielman to try to get him rattled.
3rd and 5 for Illinois State. Jacob Neat comes into the lineup and brings the play in from Todd Berry. Spielman, 6 foot, 195 pounds, and a senior. In the life of a backup quarterback. You got to be ready to go at any instant. You see the spread look by the Redbirds on 3rd and 5. Spielman over the middle, and the pass is broken up. What a play. Indiana State again with another big hit. This time it's the safety, Robin Johnson.
Robin Johnson and Mike Bandy. We saw earlier where they were just hooking up right over the ball. They try to do it again right here, but nothing happening. Mike Bandy and Robin Johnson are closing in on that very quickly to stop Illinois State from running that quick hitch over the ball.
And Spielman now is going to go for it on 4th down. 4th and 5 for the Redbirds. Spielman will use the shotgun. 4th and 5 at the Indiana State 32. The Redbirds trailing 14-7. Spielman, his hit as he throws to the near side, and the pass is caught. It is going to be close to a first down. It depends on the spot. The catch was made at the bottom of the screen by John Laurenti as Spielman threw the pass, but it looks like it's short of a first down by just about a yard. And Indiana State takes over on downs. That's the last play of the first quarter. With the score, Indiana State 14, Illinois State 7. We'll return to normal after this. Pearson, Rich Baldinger. Let's take a look now as Indiana State switching to some pressure defense, but now Indiana State has it back with a spread option, leading 14-7. As you look at Ryan Spielman, the backup quarterback, now playing because of the injury to Kevin Glenn. Illinois State strings out the option. It's a gain of 3 on the pitch to Jared Sessom. But Indiana State, we could see at the last of the series, changing its package to pressure the young quarterback.
And that's what they want to do. They want to get pressure on the quarterback Spielman, and we saw those big defensive ends, Jackson and Lefevre, getting upfield and getting after him, and Lefevre got a great hit on Spielman on that last play.
And since a young quarterback, Spielman's a senior, he just hasn't played that much. And you take a look at the spread option. The halfbacks line up differently than the old wishbone. Outside the tackles, there's a fumble snap, and Sheridan Fox has to jump on it to prevent a turnover.
Coming into the ball game, Indiana State, they said that they were just going to do what they do best, and you can see the fumble right there. You can't do anything if you never get the snap from the center, and that's what Fox has got to do. Make sure when the ball is wet on this wet surface, he's got to get the ball, because that's what starts everything. But they said they're going to come in and run their offense. They're not worried about what Illinois State does. They're going to run this wishbone and try to make Illinois State stop it.
Sheridan Fox had a 54-yard touchdown run earlier in the game. This time he's going to give it to Sessom on the pitch, and Sessom is taken down by Sam Young. Indiana State wants a face mask call, and they'll get it. As a flag thrown, and the tackle made at the 40 after a gain of 9. But it looks like Sam Young grabbed the face mask of Sessom on the run.
That's what it is, and we've been talking about Sam Young quite a bit. He's got a tough job as the safety because he's got a long ways to go to get out to that pitch guy. And you see, he just peeked into the quarterback right there and was laid outside and had to reach and grab the face mask. You'll see right here, he's trailing. He just pulls that face mask right there. He's got a tough job today because he's got a lot of ground to cover from that free safety position to get to the pitch man.
Rick Doan, the referee, calling a 15-yard face mask penalty on Illinois State. It's a penalty that moves the ball for the Sycamores to the 45 of Illinois State.
You've seen Sam Young just take a look at the quarterback just for a second, which allowed the running back to get outside of him. That's why they've got to be very disciplined defensively.
Different look this time for Indiana State as they spread out a slot to the far side, but Sessom gets it. There's a motion back, and he'll get up to the 39-yard line, and that's a gain of about 5 yards. Alfred Corbin on the stop.
This option is very tough to defend, but you've got to get the ball out of Fox's hands. You can see right there, they've got to hit him every play and put him on the ground to make him pitch that football, and that makes it a lot easier for them defensively.
And yet the Sycamores will take 6 yards a crack every time in this.
But if they keep hitting Fox and keep pounding him, they're going to cause a turnover, and that's exactly what they need defensively.
This time they won't use a tight end, and the fullback gets it. It's Effinger, who went to Air Force prep for a while. He's near a first down, scrambling up to the 35. Marcus White stacks him up there.
And that's that first option of that triple option is the dive, and that's the first time we've seen it tonight. And you see he's just looking at that defensive tackle and getting upfield, and he's just going to hand off to the dive back right there. And they have yet to see that today, so they're focusing on the quarterback and the pitch man, and now they get hit with the dive.
3rd and inches for Indiana State as you see the Illinois State sideline. Watching with concern as the Sycamores, winless this year, playing very well. In a cross play, and it's a loss in the backfield, a loss of about a yard. Derek Smith made the stop, and now it's going to be 4th and about 2 for Indiana State, and a curious call.
Yeah, very curious call. They've done a very good job of going right at Illinois State defensively. There's no need right now to try to trick them and run this cross right here, because you see Illinois State, especially with that very aggressive defense, they're over in the backfield right now. Number 37, Derek Smith, does a good job. You see him right there. He's fired up because he just came up with a big play.
Derek Smith. Kevin Glenn, they're taking him off the field in the cart as the crowd responds with a standing ovation, but they'd rather have him on the field. Now Indiana State must call timeout. 12:01 left in the second quarter. Indiana State leading Illinois State 14-7. Sycamores have 4th and 2 at the 37. We'll be back with the decision of head coach Tim McGuire after this. Team leading 14-7, and now he has 4th and 2 at the 37-yard line of Illinois State. As you see the defensive huddle of Illinois State. Rushing yards, Indiana State 92, Illinois State with 22. And Indiana State yet to complete a pass, but the only pass that they put up was intercepted.
That's not what they do best. What their strength is on the ground and running this triple option wishbone style attack. And if they go for it, that's exactly what you're going to see is the ball in Fox's hands, allowing him to make the decision of taking whatever the defense gives him.
Indiana State huddling on the sideline. Time of possession. Illinois State with the big advantage there, and usually that's just the opposite with a wishbone team. Sheraton Fox has 4th and 2. He fumbles the snap, and it is covered up by Illinois State. They would have had the ball anyway. So the two teams defensively hold each other, defending their own territory, and the Redbirds have it back. at their own 38-yard line.
And we saw it earlier, just a missed snap right there. Looks like the snap is good. Fox has got to make sure that he gets that ball before he gets out of there. Just a little anxious. The ball could be a little wet on this wet turf, but he's got to sit in there and make sure he gets the ball before he can start to play.
Give credit to Damian Gregory, a transfer out of Lansing, Michigan, who started his career in the Big Ten at Indiana. He gets the fumble recovery. The Redbirds hold, trailing 14-7, 3 minutes into the second quarter. Again, the Birds spread it out, and Spielman has a man open, and Garrett drops the ball. Ricky Garrett, the intended receiver, in front of the Illinois State bench.
That's a ball that Ricky Garrett has got to catch. That was actually a very good thrown pass by Spielman on the out to Ricky Garrett. You see Ricky Garrett right here just comes down and runs the out, and he is wide open in the flat. He's got to catch that ball right there in his hands.
And all of these receivers now have to get used to a different release, different velocity on the football than Kevin Glenn would throw.
That's exactly right. But when you get a ball that is thrown that well, you've got to catch it. It doesn't matter who's throwing that ball.
Particularly when you've got an experienced senior like Garrett. Running play. This is James. It's tripped up as he crosses the 40. They will mark him down at the 43. That's a gain of 5 on 2nd and 10.
Once again, the Indiana State tackler, number 21,
Walter James nearing 500 yards in rushing. He was outstanding last week in a win over Northern Iowa. 171 yards rushing. Today, just 11 yards. As James, though, had 101 yards in the fourth quarter. And yes, he's related to Edgerrin James, the great rookie for the Indianapolis Colts. 3rd and 4 for the Redbirds. They have the ball at their own 44. Spielman has a man open, and it's a catch made for a first down in Indiana State territory.
And that was a good thrown ball by Spielman. He just stood in the pocket, set his feet, and threw that curl route out there to Neat for the first down. He does a good job. You'll take a look at him right here, and he just sets up like he's been doing it all year long, steps right where he wants to throw the ball. The ball was a little tipped, but it got there to Neat for the first down.
You can see Spielman just picking up confidence gradually on each side.
Right, and you can see the tip right there. The ball just got tipped and still got there. So Spielman had some velocity on that pass, and that's a good confidence booster for the guy coming in with very little playing time.
First down play. Illinois State's going to throw it again. Spielman this time, and this time he finds the tight end, Preisker. Scott Preisker is down to the 21 of the Sycamores. That's a gain of 24 yards.
And they're finding a lot of holes in the middle of this zone defense, and you'll see Preisker right here. He's just wide open, running up the seam, and that's very tough on that 3-deep zone because there's so much room between the free safety and the corner that they can't cover it, and he does a good job of running right in that seam and hitting him right there. And you can see right now they want to try to get some pressure on Spielman, so they're going to try to put him on the ground as much as possible, but he's holding up very well so far.
And now the Redbirds gash across the 15 down to the 14-yard line. As Walter James on the carry. Preisker's been big here catching the ball. As let's take a look at the run by Walter James.
And now they come back to the run up the middle. They ran the play pass a couple times, and you see Walter James just hitting it up in there hard. He's their inside running back. Kayson's the guy to bounce it outside and get around the corner. James is the guy to hit it up in there and hit it hard.
Preisker has 3 catches, 49 yards. He entered the game with just 16 for the season. Second down, let's call it 3 at the 14 of Indiana State. 14-7 Sycamores, second quarter early. This is James breaking a few tackles and down to the 5 for a first and goal.
Walter James breaking tackles. He's about 215 pounds, so he's not a little guy. And when you've got speed like that and you're 215 pounds, you're not going to be able to arm tackle this guy. You've got to wrap him up. You see they start out inside, and he just bounces it outside, uses his speed, cuts right there and breaks a couple tackles. And I tell you, you got to wrap this kid up, because if you don't, he's going to be in the end zone.
And Spielman starting to feel it. Yeah.
Feel it a little bit.
Knows he's got to lead this team with the injury to Glenn. James, 3 carries, 22 yards. This time he is nailed in the backfield. Again, penetration by Indiana State. And Shannon Jackson in there along with Delbert Mims. But Shannon Jackson now can get in the backfield in a hurry.
He can make some plays, and he's the guy that they are happy to get back. And you see right here, Shannon Jackson, he just comes underneath the tackle right there and makes a big play. he's a guy that they really, really are happy that he's back because he can make some huge plays for this defense.
Jackson had a head injury against Iowa State where he experienced some dizziness. They held him out for a while, but now back in this lineup. He's had 11 tackles. He had 11 tackles, 4 for losses against Youngstown State, so he lives in that enemy backfield.
And in talking to the coaching staff in the pregame, they said he was a little tentative in that first game. He didn't know how he was going to react to that injury that he had early on, but he reacted very well, and now his only problem is getting in game shape.
14-7, Indiana State, the team in blue and white you see on the left of the screen defending. They lead Illinois State. Illinois State is ranked 7th in the nation, but have lost their quarterback, Kevin Glenn, to what appears to be a serious knee injury. Spielman dumps it over the middle. It's short of the end zone, but it's caught by Ricky Garrett on a crossing pattern down to the 2.
And they do a good job of running those crossing patterns, and it works very good against zone, but this is a man coverage. You'll see the receiver, Ricky Jackson, coming across your screen right there, and you see the cornerback trailing. That's a tough pattern to cover when you're in man coverage and no help in the middle of the football field. That receiver can just continue to run away from you. That's what Ricky Jackson did.
Now, does the coverage switch come from the change of quarterbacks or the change in the field?
Well, they're going to try to mix up their coverages, Mitch. They want to play the ball's out.
And it's fumbled and picked up by Indiana State's LeVar Lester. And LeVar Lester picks up the ball and brings it back out to the 14-yard line.
And that is a huge play for Indiana State. But going back to the coverages, they wanted to try to mix up their zone and their man coverages just so they don't give away their tendencies. But defensively, they just came up with a huge play in stopping Illinois State.
Walter James thought he was headed for the end zone. Indiana State had other thoughts.
And you'll see they just got a hat on the ball, and the ball just pops out of there. You'll see right here another look at it. Watch the ball just squirt out of there. Right there, and the ball's up in the air. Great job by Illinois State getting a hat on the ball, and Luster coming up with it.
Tony Albrink made the hit to force the ball loose, and LeVar Lester picks up the fumble. Illinois State, instead of going in from 1 yard out, now coughs it up. And for Illinois State, they have lost one fumble, but fumbled twice. Now, Sheraton Fox will keep it on the option. And Illinois State strings it out and takes him down after a gain of 1 to the 15.
Good job defensively by Illinois State stringing out that option, and that's what you want to do. You want the ball to run sideways. As you can see, you want the ball to continue to run down the line of scrimmage. You can see all the red shirts right there. There is nowhere to turn up for Sheridan Fox, and that's exactly how you want to defend an option. Here you'll see Sheridan Fox right here. There's nowhere to turn up. He's looking for a spot, but there's nowhere to go. And that's how you want to pursue. You see 5 red jerseys right there.
2nd and 7. This time it goes to the fullback, Calvin Thomas. And the St. Louisan breaks it out to the 34-yard line, a gain of 17 yards.
I tell you what, that's a smart play by Fox. The previous play, he tried to keep it, and noticed that Illinois State was stringing it out. So what does he do? He gives it right up the middle to the dive back. If Illinois State is going to pursue outside and overplay the option, he's going to give it to the dive back and hit him right in the middle.
Thomas, his 28th carry of this season. You see Tim McGuire and the Indiana State bench excited. They lead 14-7. We're midway through the second quarter. Fox on the option. Late pitch to Keith Herron, and Herron is forced out of bounds. A short game, but they will mark him out. It looks like the 37, a gain of 4. Keith Herron, a junior out of Hammond, Indiana. Indiana State likes to use a lot of people in that backfield, JC, in this option offense.
And then this option offense, especially with the wet football, is very dangerous when you're pitching the ball because no one knows who's going to get the ball except for Shannon Fox. No one else knows. And so they have all have to be ready to get the ball at any point in time.
Again, it rained heavily here this morning in Normal, Illinois. So the teams are dealing with a wet field. Pitch out to Nelson. In trouble. Surrounded. Young takes him down and gets some help. He got help from Galen Scott from behind, and it is going to go for a loss. Back to the 34. It's a loss of 2.
Nowhere to go for this Indiana State option right now. Illinois State doing a good job of stringing it out and pursuing to the football. They've got a lot of speed defensively, and you see there's absolutely nowhere to go. And look at the pursuit coming. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys coming on the pitch man, and that's what you have to have if you're going to defend this option and defend it properly.
Sheraton Fox Sheraton Fox, the quarterback, on 3rd and 10 from his own 33. 14-7, he leads. He wants to throw it, sets up the screen pass. Caught by the fullback Thomas up the near sideline and has a first down and gets to midfield. A well-designed, well-executed 17-yard screen pass to the fullback Calvin Thomas.
Very good play by Indiana State. They know how fast Illinois State pursues to the football. So what do? They come with the misdirection to get all those guys over there. They throw the screen backside, and there is nobody out here. Good job for a first down, and that's a play that's going to slow down this pursuit of Illinois State, because now they have to beware of the plays coming backside.
First down at midfield for the Sycamores, leading 14-7 with 6:17 left in the second quarter. There's a look at the passing yards, skewed heavily as expected towards Illinois State. Fox this time kicks it out to Herron, and Herron is taken down, but will still gain 4 yards into Illinois State territory. Sam Young again forcing and making the defensive play for Illinois State.
And that's a long run for the free safety Sam Young to come. And you see him right here again. He is just mirroring that pitch back, which is what his responsibility is. And you see he does a good job of just pursuing inside out like you're supposed to do. Great job by Sam Young defending the pitch man. He's got to be careful, though, Mitch, not to pursue too quickly and get hit with the pass over the top.
Second down, 6 for Indiana State. Sheraton Fox, the sophomore from Bartow, Florida, running the option, and this time Nelson's got it near a first down, trying to stay in bounds, tiptoeing out. They'll mark him out short of the first down, it appears, at the 41-yard line, forced out by Alfred Corbett. This offensive line of Indiana State has done an excellent job here.
And we can take a look at Sam Young again. This time they have the receiver cracking on Sam Young. You see right there, and he is responsible for the pitch man, so that makes the cornerback one-on-one with the running back. And you've got to hit the quarterback, as we said, in this option. You've got to take the quarterback down. But now they're cracking back with the wide receiver on the free safety.
And on 3rd and 1, Devin Finn shoots through for Illinois State to engulf Sheraton Fox for a loss at the 45, a loss of 4 yards. Damon Gregory also there, those two key inside defenders for the Birds.
They're doing a good job. You see inside, they're gang tackling, they're running, and number 96, big number 96, Devon Finn, gets upfield, and he is responsible for the quarterback in that particular situation, and he minds his own business and comes up with the big play.
Third tackle for a loss. Kevin Dean punts for Indiana State. It is taken by Ryan Zacola on the punt return. He's across the 20 and up to the 28-yard line. So a good punt return by Ryan Zacola of Illinois State as Indiana State keeps the lead. 14-7 Sycamores. 4:39 left in the first half here on the campus of Illinois State. The Illinois State quarterback injured in the first quarter, and Indiana State has taken advantage of it. They lead Illinois State 14-7 late in the first half. Ryan Spielman, the replacement quarterback, spreads it out and using motion here. 1st and 10 from his own 29. Delay handoff, and it goes to Kason, and Kason will gain short yardage up to his own 33.
Inside, Indiana State is playing very tough. Mike Bandy, the inside linebacker, as well as those two tackles inside, doing a good job of stopping the inside rushing attack of Illinois State.
The Redbirds trying to figure out a way to stay explosive. They almost did it in special teams as Zacola with a nice punt return.
Yeah, they've got to find a way to get some points on the board. With Kevin Glenn out, that's a lot of production that just left the football field, so those other people have got to step up and make some plays.
2nd and 6, Spielman back in the pocket. Zings one, it's low. Well, they're going to rule it a catch. No, trap by Ricky Garrett. Ricky Garrett traps the ball at the 42.
Spielman's doing a good job of looking downfield, because in this zone defense that Indiana State is running, there are a lot of holes, and they've got receivers running through those zones, and if they just sit down, they're going to find some gaps in this defense.
So Indiana State back to zone. We've seen the Sycamores now switch it up, JC.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of switching from zone and man-to-man. They're trying to give Spielman the same look and then fall into man or play zone from it to try to confuse him. But that was their game plan. They wanted to stop the run first and then mix up the coverages.
3rd and 6 for Illinois State from their own 33. We're inside of 4 minutes now left in the first half. Spielman who's completed 5 of 9 passes. In trouble, holds it, now in trouble again, and he's going to be sacked back at the 27-yard line. Coming on in was Troy Lefevre again, as Lefevre will get credit for the sack.
And doing a good job. If they said if they could get pressure with their front 4 guys up here, then they're going to be okay. And you see these guys never stop hustling. These guys never quit. And look at all the white shirts around the quarterback. And it was a good job of coverage downfield. Again, they were in zone coverage, so people were just dropping in their zones. And you can see Ricky Garrett just trying to find a hole in the zone to sit down in. And that time, great defense by Indiana State.
So Lefevre with the sack, and bringing it back is Juan Alfonso on the punt return. As Jake Strader on the punt for Illinois State. And Juan Alfonso, the 3-year letter winner, the senior, gets it back to the 38-yard line. A 48-yard punt. And 13 yards on the return by Alfonso. 3:06 left in the first half. It's 14-7 Indiana State. C. Pearson in Normal, Illinois, on the campus of Illinois State. It's family day here on campus, as you see a family enjoying this one, although their team trailing by a touchdown. Sheridan Fox, this time the load option, and they kick it back to the halfback. And that's Jared Sessom, and Illinois State defends it well, knocking him down at the 40-yard line, gain of 3. Let's go down to Rich Balding.
Yeah, Mitch, I was listening to Coach Bell over there on the sidelines, and the one thing he was worried about was his offensive line. They've had some trouble picking up the stunts. And talking to Coach McGuire before the game for Indiana State, he said, hey, I didn't think the offensive line was a very good pass blocking team. I'm going to stun at him, and I'm going to get some pressure. Every time they stunt, they've done a good job of hitting the quarterback.
Rich, I need to ask you, what is the mood of that Illinois State sideline? To lose their spiritual leader and one of the real leaders on the team is now they stuffed the run for a loss back at the 35, hitting Fox, the quarterback. Tim Angston hitting. But what's the mood on that sideline?
Well, the mood is right now, the players are still pretty up right now. The one thing you have with Spielman coming in at quarterback, he's not really sure of how his players are blocking. And, you know, standing on the sidelines, you just don't get the feel for the game. So I think that they've kind of limited some of his offensive plays. But overall, the mood for the defense right now is still up because they've done an excellent job in stopping this option.
Now it's 3rd down and 11 at their own 36 for Indiana State. Steve Engelhardt in at quarterback. He is the designated passer on this team. He threw a touchdown pass last week for 34 yards and a TD against Youngstown State. And there is movement on the Indiana State line.
We'll see the movement right here on the offensive line. The right side of their line just jumps right there. And obviously that creates a tough situation for Indiana State.
Richard Harris is called for the penalty.
And that's what you have to do sometimes against the option. That time what they did, they blitzed Tim Angston right through that A-gap to try to get to the quarterback. You can do that occasionally. You don't want to do that a lot because it's going to come back to bite you because you've got one less guy defending if he gets blocked.
A death down and distance for the Wishbone. 3rd and 16 from their own 31. Engelhardt screen. It is caught by the fullback and a great defensive play by Illinois State. As Illinois State chasing it down, Willie Watts. Willie Watts, who plays on offense, will make the tackle. So Watts moves over to the other side of the football to make the tackle. Watts playing both ways.
He does a good job of smelling out this screen, and you can see, but watch this offensive lineman, number 58, Doug Hurt, right here. He just whiffs him and lets him run by. If he makes that block, then they've got a big play with Calvin Thomas. But instead, right there again, he misses that block and doesn't even attempt to block him. And Illinois State is able to come up with a big play defensively.
Kevin Dean to punt, 14-7. Indiana State with the lead. Illinois State trying to come after the punt. They've been excellent. They've blocked 4 kicks in Todd Berry's career here at Illinois State. But Dean gets it away, and it's down by the talented free safety for Indiana State, Juan Alfonso. A reminder that 2N Sports Marketing of Northbrook, Illinois salutes the Gateway Football Conference and its distinguished members on another year of NCAA Division I AA athletic and academic excellence. In sports marketing, 2-win means you win too. 1:16 left in the half. Illinois State will have to utilize the 2-minute drill here. 14-7, they trail. They still have 3 timeouts remaining. So Spielman keeps an eye on the clock here. Nice throw, delayed. Walter James out of the backfield crosses the 50 and gains 12 yards to the Indiana State 48.
Right now, with about a minute and 9 seconds left, Indiana State is playing a lot deeper. You can see their linebackers and see how deep they're dropping, which just allows Walter James to catch that ball underneath him and get as many yards as he can. What they want to do is make that ball be thrown in front of them so that they can come up and make the tackle.
Timeout called by Illinois State. They have 2 remaining. The clock stops at 1:09 left in the half. And Indiana State leading Illinois State 14-7. You see Ryan Spielman, the senior from Kankakee, Illinois, and also Walter James. As Spielman thrust into the action here with the injury to Kevin Glenn. We told you it was a knee sprain. That's the initial diagnosis. They'll do an MRI later tonight or tomorrow to determine the true extent of the injury.
Spielman has done a good job coming in. He's 6 of 10 for 66 yards, but credit Indiana State's defense. They played very well, flowed to the football extremely well, and those 2 defensive ends, Shannon Jackson and Troy Lefevre, have done a great job of getting a lot of heat on the quarterback.
Tim McGuire has to like what his team has done thus far. And there's a look at Lefevre. As he and Jackson have been the bookends of this defense. 1st and 10 for Illinois State. Nice angle from our camera folks as it goes to Kason, slipping out of the backfield. And Kason will gain 7 yards up to the 41.
Again, Illinois State just satisfied with taking that short gain over the middle underneath those linebackers. With about a minute to go, they just want to get the ball as far down into the enemy's territory as possible.
Again, they throw underneath. This time it's dropped by Preisker. The normally sure-handed senior Scott Preisker, who's got 3 catches for 49 yards, drops that one.
And that's a catch that he's got to make again. That ball is very catchable, and Spielman has come in and played very well so far, especially for a guy who has very little playing experience. He's come in and thrown the ball very well.
3rd and 4 for Illinois State at the Indiana State 42. 45 seconds left in the half for Ryan Spielman. Steve Kostrov had the big game 2 weeks ago on television against Southwest Missouri. He's in the Redbird lineup. Spielman again spreading him out. This is the draw play. Kason, ankle tackle in the backfield. He is up to the 41-yard line and can gain just a couple. Lefevre again breaking through there to get the stop.
He's got to be short of the 1st down, so it's 4th down and about 2 for Illinois State.
Redbirds will go for it. They're going to use the shotgun. The offensive line. Andy King, Dan Hamma, Ted Wolf, Mike Rodbro, and Aaron Peterson. 4th, let's call it 3. You see the clock ticking down. The play clock at 8 seconds, and Illinois State's just going to take the clock on down. Keep in mind, Indiana State will have the ball to start the 3rd quarter. As Todd Berry taking the clock down to 6 seconds.
And that's a pretty interesting decision. Also, you would think that they would try to get in scoring position and get some points on the board, but instead they let a lot of valuable seconds roll off that clock before they call timeout.
So Illinois State does not want to leave any time on the clock for Indiana State. And yet Spielman has picked up some confidence. Checking Spielman's numbers, he's 7 for 12. 73 yards in passing. Kevin Glenn started the game 6 for 6 for 63 yards. And then was injured on a pass attempt. In case you're wondering about a field goal here, Jake Strader, 4 for 5 this season, is long, 38 yards.
Yeah, they are out of field goal range. What you're probably going to see is a Hail Mary, a throw into the end zone. And the reason why Todd Berry let the clock run down is that if the pass is incomplete, the half is over. They don't want to allow Indiana State to get the ball back.
6 seconds left in the half. 14-7 Indiana State. There's a look at Strader. And now Indiana State calls timeout to make sure they've got all their assignments covered. We had some early scores in the Gateway Conference. Western Illinois leading the Fighting Christians of Elon College. That game in Macomb 14-0. Now we've got an update. Well, it's still 14-0 late in the second quarter. Southern Illinois and Youngstown State are tied at the end of the first quarter at 7-7. And Northern Iowa lost here last week to Illinois State. They lead Cal Poly San Luis Obispo 14-0. That is the end at the end of the first quarter up in the Unidome. Top 25 scores. Florida State leads Miami of Florida 31-21 in the fourth. And Michigan State, the 11th ranked Spartans, leading arch rival Michigan 34-17 in the fourth quarter. So Michigan State with an outstanding season, and going to get even better if they can knock off their arch rivals today.
And there's not much decision with 6 seconds left to go. I don't understand what all of the decision concerns are right now. I mean, you know they've got to throw the ball in the end zone, so you line up guys deep and defend the goal line.
5 wide receivers. Spielman. Here comes Indiana State, and Spielman is sacked. The blitz came from the person of Corey Pierce.
And that's one way to stop this Hail Mary, because in order to run a Hail Mary, they've got to have time to let those receivers get downfield. Great job, and that's what the decision was about, Mitch, to blitz these guys, and they brought Corey Pierce off the outside for the sack, and it was a great call.
Let's give some credit to the Indiana State defense. Illinois State had given up 3 sacks all this year, all against the University of Minnesota.
And you'll see
today 3 sacks by Indiana State.
You see Corey Pierce just coming from the outside, not giving Spielman time to set up. And you see the receivers, whenever you're running that Hail Mary, you've got to give them time to get downfield. And when you're blitzing, you don't have a lot of time. Great decision, great call by Indiana State defensively.
Now, in college football, once the turnover on downs occurs, the clock stops. So there's still 2 seconds on the clock. Indiana State wisely calling timeout. So Indiana State has a chance to throw the ball to the end zone here. As you see, 2 seconds still illuminated on the clock. If it would have been pro football, the half would have ended. Now, 2 seconds on the clock, and Indiana State gets a shot.
They get a shot, and you never know in that Hail Mary situation. Oftentimes it doesn't work, but every now and then your receiver will come up with the ball, and any points right now would be huge for Indiana State going into halftime.
Steve Englehart, the designated thrower, who is number 10 at the center of your screen, also plays wide receiver for this team, will be under center as the Sycamores will spread it out. There's Englehart. Completed just 1 pass this year, but it was for a touchdown.
You see Illinois State just rushes 4 guys instead of blitzing.
And it's knocked down by Illinois State at the 4-yard line. Sam Young has been everywhere, and Ryan Zacola also there for Illinois State. The half ends, but for Indiana State, they've got an upset working here. Todd Berry, a concerned Todd Berry. His team ranks 7th in the nation in 1AA football, trailing at halftime 14-7. His quarterback, his leader, Kevin Glenn, injured in the first quarter, will not return for the remainder of the game. Let's go down to Rich Baldinger.
I've got Coach Berry here. Coach, first of all, losing Kevin Glenn in the first quarter, what has it done emotionally to the team?
Well, we're a little bit down, and we've got to come back up here in half and rally up, and I think we will. We've got a good football team, and they'll rally up.
How about offensively? Spielman coming in from the bench, and it's cold. It's tough as a backup quarterback. Have you changed anything offensively?
Well, we have changed a few things, obviously. We're a little bit out of sync, and we're going to have to get back in there, get everybody settled down. We've let them have a big offensive play and a big special teams play. Otherwise, the score would still be 7-0 right now. So we've got to recognize that, come back out here in the second half, play like we're capable of playing.
The offense line seemed to have some trouble. They're getting some pressure. You're going to look to change up some blocking schemes.
Yeah, they've been doing an awful lot of things that we haven't seen as far as some of the twists. We worked it out a little better there in the second quarter, but obviously we've got to continue to do a better job.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Back to you, Mitch.
All right, thanks, Rich. Todd Berry has got to be shell-shocked a little bit, losing Kevin Glenn to injury. 14-7. Indiana State has the lead at halftime, working on an upset here in Normal. Cox Stadium in Normal, Illinois, and the Illinois State campus on the horizon, as Indiana State leading Illinois State here in an upset 14-7 at halftime. We've talked a lot about the Illinois State offense coming into the game, but the Indiana State defense right now is stealing the show.
Oh, they've definitely stepped it up, Mitch. They've gotten those 2 defensive ends, Shannon Jackson and Troy Lefevre, untracked, and they are really bringing the heat on Illinois State right now. The linebackers, Mike Bandy, really doing a good job inside, shutting down this Illinois State running attack thus far. In their secondary, they're playing a lot of zone coverages back there, and they're bending and not breaking. They're having the ball thrown in front of them and coming up and making the tackle, doing a very good job so far in this ball game.
And Illinois State has to somehow figure out a way to try to score without Kevin Glenn at quarterback.
Yeah, that's going to be a big key for him. Even though Spielman has come in and done a good job, as we heard Coach Berry say, they've cut their playbook down immensely. So they've got to have some other guys step up, and this defense has got to create some turnovers and create some opportunities for them offensively as well.
The story of this game right here. Kevin Glenn, the leading total offensive quarterback in Illinois State history, out on this play.
And you can see, it's hard to see right there, but that left knee just got twisted up on the pile. You see him grabbing it right there, and the early reports are that it is just a sprain, which is good, that it's not anything worse, but he is definitely out the remainder of the ball game.
Shannon Jackson, the man with the sack, 270 pounds on top of Kevin Glenn at 190. The Big Red Marching Machine on the field and entertaining the good crowd on hand here at Illinois State. Indiana State leads it at halftime, 14-7 in
halftime here. Indiana State leading 14-7, and again I am joined with Bobby Wallace, Senior Vice President of the St. Louis Rams. And once again, Bobby, we're here to talk about some players who have some possibility in the NFL. And you know, Bobby, as a former player, I knew that it wasn't only talent that got you in the NFL. It wasn't only speed or things like that, because if it was, I wouldn't have been there. What are some of the other things that you're looking at today with the players in terms of what makes them a possible draft pick?
Well, I think you're looking for a bunch of things. One of them is you're looking for their, the size, obviously, and their talent. But you're looking for their brain, whether they can think on their feet. You're looking for their intensity, whether they're willing to go hard. Looking to see if they're coachable, what kind of background they have. There are a lot of different factors that go into it.
I guess practice habits, how they do in school, they show up in class, all things like that all matter in terms nowadays when you invest the money that they're making in the NFL and these players.
Absolutely. Our scouts go to practice. They don't go to games as much as they go to practice, and that's when they see how guys are working, whether they're listening to their coaches, and then whether they can translate it onto the game on Saturday.
Well, it's so important nowadays with defenses being so complicated, offenses being so complicated. I guess book skills is just as important as athletic skill in the NFL.
Absolutely, Rich. You played for a number of years, and you spent a lot of time in the classroom, much more than on the field. So it's very important for you to be able to study and to learn what you're supposed to do when you're out there playing.
Right, Bobby, first player we're going to take a look at is Shannon Jackson. He seems to trim down a little bit. Well, they said he trimmed down, but we don't know. Standing down the field, he still looks pretty big. Why don't we take a look at some of him, and what does he have, do you think, that will allow him to play in the NFL?
Well, one of he has great size. He's a big kid, and he can split the middle, and he's got strong hands, and he's got a lot of intensity. I think he's a little out of shape right now because he's had a lot of injuries. But, they call him, affectionately, they call him the freak because, he's had some medical things that they don't know what happened to him, but he always comes back and plays. But him and the other defensive end is also a very good player. They have only played a game and a half together, so Shannon Jackson has a chance to play at the next level. He really does.
And that other defensive end we're going to talk about is Troy Lefevre, as we see here coming on a stunt and pressuring the quarterback.
Yeah, Troy's a little undersized, but, he had some real closing quickness there on one play where he saw the quarterback and he went after him. He is a little undersized, but he's got speed and he's got a heart, and that's what you really want. You want a guy who wants to play and wants to make plays.
You talk about one thing was hand strength. That's so important in the NFL because so much of it's played, sitting. It's almost like a basketball game now. You're sitting, you're knocking each other around with hand blocks and everything. Talk about a little bit about that.
Well, the defensive lineman, one of the things they want to do is they want to get hold of that offensive lineman so they can shake him and throw him off of things. And an offensive lineman, you know what that is. I always read, he's got a good punch. So it's a lot like boxing. It's a lot of hand play. And those strong hands, when they can grab you and then shed the blockers, is very important.
Now to the other side of the ball, unfortunate accident today. Kevin Glenn got his leg caught in the turf. What does he have in terms of playing in the NFL? Hopefully his injury isn't as bad as they think it is.
Well, I'm hoping it's not. I love coming out and watching Kevin Glenn. We watched him 2 weeks ago against Southwest Missouri, and they were down by 24, and he came back and he just made some plays. He's a smart kid. He makes good decisions. He's an accurate passer, and he's a leader. He's got everything you want in a quarterback. I wish he was about 3 inches taller, and then he'd be a first-round draft choice. But right now, he's a player.
Well, here we see him walking off the field, and, hopefully, we talked to the doctor on the sidelines, and they just think it's a bad sprain. I watched him, so hopefully there's no major damage and everything here.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's a kid who makes it on his quickness as well as his decision-making, and we're just hoping that, he only misses the rest of this game. Maybe he misses a week or so, but he can come back and enjoy it. He's on a record, pace. And he's a junior already and already shattered all the Illinois State records. He's a really good player, and I hope he's okay.
Once again, Bobby, thank you very much for your insight. We'll be back after this with the start of the second half.
It's in 14-7, Indiana State working on an upset here over the 7th-ranked Illinois State Redbirds. Let's take a look now at some of the highlights. Again, we need to tell you, Kevin Glenn, the all-everything quarterback for Illinois State, injured in the first quarter, will not return.
We'll take a look here at Illinois State. You see the throw out for the touchdown to Ricky Garrett right there, just getting into the end zone. And that right there was about all we would see of Kevin Glenn after the injury that we just talked about. But they got on the scoreboard first with the first drive downfield. Then Indiana State comes back, and Sheridan Fox just keeps the ball right up the middle, follows his fullback, and the middle is wide open, and he just scampers all the way to the end zone to get Indiana State on the scoreboard as well and tie it up. Then Indiana State comes back again with a 1-yard touchdown run by Sheridan Fox, set up by the long punt return by the free safety, DeJuan Alfonso. Does a good job of getting the ball down to the 1-yard line, and Indiana State just punches it in for the 14-7 lead.
Fox, his first 2 carries, 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. His last 5 carries, -5 yards. And the stats look like what you'd think they'd look like coming into the game.
Yeah, and you see the time of possession here, definitely in favor of Illinois State, but they only have 7 points on the board. They only have 29 rushing yards, which is huge, and a good job by Indiana State's defense. And that's what they wanted to do, to come in and limit Illinois State on the ground, make them throw the ball, and that's exactly what they're doing, Mitch.
And again, Indiana State's defense deserves some kudos. They did pick up some folks off the injured list. Troy Lefevre has had a big impact in this game, and defensive end Shannon Jackson, who returned last week against Youngstown State and had a big effort. He's continued that play this week.
And those inside guys as well, and Mike Bandy, the inside linebacker, they're doing a great job in the middle and in the trenches in stopping this Illinois State rushing attack.
Let me guess, that looks like the Illinois State gymnastics team out in the zoo, they call it, the student section. Illinois State has a great tradition of a comprehensive athletic program. They've been the winner of the Missouri Valley Conference All Sports Award on numerous occasions. As you take a look at the great crowd on hand here at Hancock Stadium, they didn't know if we'd have a good crowd or not because it rained so hard here in the morning. But these Illinois State fans, very good. But also, there's a look at the zoo, the student section here in the end zone at Illinois State. But these fans right now shocked, trying to figure out a way that they can get back into the game without Kevin Glenn.
And as we talked about earlier in the ball game, somebody's got to step up, either special teams or defensively. They've got to step up to help Ryan Spielman, the young quarterback, the young inexperienced quarterback, make some plays.
And we have seen Illinois State make some special teams plays. 2 weeks ago, as you see the Redbirds returning to the field, 2 weeks ago against Southwest Missouri State, they used special teams to win on the road 46-42. But Indiana State has the lead here at halftime, 14-7 over the Illinois State Redbirds. We'll be back with our second half of play from Central Illinois after this. Indiana State leading Illinois State at halftime. The architect of the upset thus far, head coach Tim McGuire of Indiana State, is with our Rich Baldinger.
Coach, once again, you're here on top. What do you tell your team to maybe come over that mountain and come out of here with a win today?
The biggest thing we went into halftime and said we were very disappointed how they played, really. So they don't have any idea what they're doing. They say, hey, guys, you could have done a lot better. We should have been up more touchdowns. We missed reads. We had things happen. We got to come back out here the second half and play it all the way to the last play.
They did a pretty good job in stopping the option there in the first half. Have you made any adjustments to maybe get to the corner better?
The biggest thing is our free safety. We missed some cracks. We missed a couple blocks. We got on the wideouts because they're not blocking as well as they should right now. If we can get those cracks on that safety, we'll be okay.
Defensive line's done everything you talked about there before the game. You saw the Illinois State offensive line was questionable, and yes, you've gotten some pressure. Same thing, some stunts again in the second half.
Same thing in the second half.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Back up to you, Mitch.
All right, thanks, Rich. Tim McGuire, really good guy. Interesting approach. He said, JC, hey, we told him, hey, you've done nothing yet. He jumped him.
Some of those psychological games those coaches play, and now we're seeing it from the other side. But, yeah, Tim McGuire, he doesn't want his guys to get complacent and get happy thinking that they've won this ball game in the first half, so he stayed on them at the halftime and told them, hey, you guys haven't done anything yet. In fact, you guys haven't even played very well, so hopefully he can get some fire in these guys so that they can continue in the second half.
There's Sheraton Fox, the Indiana State quarterback. 7 rushes, 53 yards, of which 54 of those came on one play. He's had some minus yardage. Let's take a look now at the 1AA national rankings. We told you the Gateway Conference, the best conference in America, and this backs it up. Illinois State right now number 7. Number 9 is Northern Iowa, a team that Illinois State beat last week.
And that's a very tough conference, this Gateway Conference. Every week you're going to have your hands full because, as we see, and one loss is going to drop you dramatically in these rankings. So these guys have got to come out every week, regardless of who they play, and be ready to win.
And 2 other teams in the top 25 in 1AA football, Youngstown State and Western Illinois, are also ranked in the top 25. There's only 7 teams in the league, and 4 are ranked. And Southwest Missouri isn't far from being ranked. Scores from around the league: Northern Iowa leading Cal Poly San Luis Obispo 14-0. Western Illinois leading the Fighting Christians of Elon College 14-0. Youngstown and Southern Illinois tied at 7, and Indiana State here leading Illinois State 14-7, as Illinois State will kick it off to DeJuan Alfonso, and also back is Matt Nelson. Jake Strader with the kick. Alfonso's going to get a chance to bring it back. Alfonso made the first guy miss, and now will get nailed at the 20-yard line. So Indiana State, which has a nice offense for using time, kickoff return 18 yards by DeJuan Alfonso. But the feeling you got from Tim McGuire is that he's not going to get cozy or feel like, hey, I've got to run 30 minutes off the clock here. He's got to stay aggressive on both sides of the ball.
That's exactly right. They've got to stay very aggressive and come out and try to establish themselves like they did in the beginning of the ball game. And what they wanted to do was come out and get their offense untracked by running this option game, and hopefully can hit a big pass over the top. But it all starts with the quarterback, Sheridan Fox.
See the spread option. The halfback will come from the off-tackle position. This time the fullback gets it. That's John Effinger. And Effinger bumped out after gaining about 4 yards. Bumped out by Alfred Corbett. Now, a lot of fans would say, wait a minute, the wishbone, your halfbacks are supposed to line up in the backfield. This is a variation of the wishbone that the service academies have used with a lot of success in the last 5 years.
Yeah, they line up those guys on the hip position of those tackles, and it really gives their offense a little more flexibility, because if they want to toss or anything, they've got an extra blocker already up there, but it really helps in the counter game as well, so it can be very confusing for defense.
As we say that, then the Sycamores line up in the more standard wishbone set. This time the fullback gets it again as Marcus White makes the tackle.
And that's what makes it so tough against an offense like Indiana State, is they give you some variations of that as well, but you've got to be very, very disciplined. And we'll see that Marcus White right here does a good job of sticking his head in there and getting that dive back. But you've got to be very careful and be mindful of that quarterback, because if he pulls it back out of there, there has to be someone there to take him.
John Effinger was the ball carrier. This time it's a load option. They kick it out late. This is Matt Nelson. And Nelson gets strung out and knocked down short of a first down, it appears, at the 29-yard line. Illinois State had a lot of hats in the area that time, chasing down the option play.
They do a very good job of stringing the option out. As you can see right here, it's just a sprint option, but Illinois State does a good job of stringing it out. And you'll see all the red jerseys coming from the inside. Doesn't allow Indiana State to go anywhere and get the first down. That is a good job of coming out the first series of the second half and establishing yourself defensively.
Indiana State leads by a touchdown. First minute of the third quarter. Punt is away by Kevin Dean. The flag thrown. Ryan Zakola wants to bring it back for Illinois State and gets stopped at the 41-yard line. But hang on, a flag was thrown on the play. As the referee of this crew, Rick Doan, as you take a look at the laundry. Sycamores are going to be called for a penalty, and now Todd Berry has a decision. He's got okay field position at his own 41-yard line.
Illegal formation. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Penalty is declined. First down.
There's your answer. He wants the ball.
He wants the ball, and they're on the 41-yard line, so they've got pretty good field position. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of adjustments they made at halftime offensively to try to get something going.
Spielman. They tried to keep things safe for him. He didn't throw the ball up the field all that much. 7 of 12, 73 yards. A lot of check down type throws to the backs. But these backs for Illinois State are explosive. Walter James in there now. Spielman wants to get it. Now that's Avion Cason, I beg your pardon. Cason using that speed, and he'll gain across the 50. Has a first down and a gain of 11 to the Indiana State 48-yard line. Avion Cason, one of the fastest players in the Midwest at any level. Michael Brooks chased him out, and that's like an extended handoff.
And that's like an extended sweep. All they want to do is get him outside, throw the ball to him, and let him run. But as we're going to see downfield, watch the block by the wide receiver, Ricky Garrett. And we don't get a chance to see it, but he is doing a great job of blocking the cornerback that allowed Avion Cason to get additional yardage. And that's what they've got to do in this type of attack. The receivers have got to block downfield.
This time it is James. James going off tackle, runs over a defender and breaks into the secondary. And DeJuan Alfonso chases him down from behind, grabbing the back of the shoulder pad and knocking him down. He ran over Michael Brooks, who had a shot at him after a gain of about 8, but instead he ran him over and gets it all the way down to the 10.
And they're doing a good job, but watch number 90 right here. You see him get cut off right there, and he's not able to scrape and get outside. And you see the cornerback, Michael Brooks, you've got to wrap that guy up. You can't go up there like you don't want to tackle him, especially a big guy like Walter James. You see right there, he just trucks him. As a defensive back, especially a corner, you got to go up there and lay the wood on that guy and wrap him up. He's a big guy, and you can't try to arm tackle him. He's not going to come down easy.
Now Illinois State, was threatened before and fumbled at the 1, gives it out to Cason. Cason advances the ball from the 11 to the 7 for a gain of 4. 13-15 left in the third quarter. 14-7, and Cason is down with an injury. Shannon Jackson makes the tackle. It was Jackson that knocked Kevin Glenn out of the game. And now Cason is down on the field. And Shannon Jackson is delivering some shots here. Cason, who entered the game with 48 carries and 250 yards, being held. Let's take a look here at the shot from Jackson.
And you can see it looks like he probably got his left leg rolled up as well under that pile. If you take a look at his left leg right here as he gets it rolled right there, and it looks like it'd be an ankle or a knee right there, which obviously is going to be another tough blow for this Illinois State offense.
You know, Rich was talking about the wet turf. It rained so much here this morning, and that turf will grip that foot. And we've seen now on 2 occasions it happened on the same time, both in Kevin Glenn and now Cason, that foot gripping. 14-7. The lead is Indiana State's, but the Birds are threatened. When Dan Brandenburg's career ended at Indiana State in 1995, it was just beginning. One of the best defensive players in Gateway history, the defensive lineman for Indiana State, now plays on Sundays with the Buffalo Bills. While at Indiana State, Brandenburg was one of the most dominant defensive players in Gateway history. He holds Indiana State records with 13 sacks in a single season and 32 sacks in his career. Brandenburg is only one of 9 players in Gateway Conference history and only one of 2 defensive linemen to earn first-team All-League honors 3 seasons. Brandenburg ranks 4th all-time in Gateway history with those 32 sacks. Brandenburg made his NFL debut versus the Colts of Indianapolis in September of 1997 and saw action in every game the rest of the year with the exception of 1. In his first NFL season, Brandenburg saw considerable playing time as a situational linebacker, with his most extensive action at linebacker coming against the Patriots of New England in November of '97, when he posted a career-high 6 tackles. One of the Gateway's best of all time, Dan Brandenburg of Indiana State. There's an injured Avion Cason. Let's take a look at how he was injured.
Yeah, we'll take a look at his left ankle, and we can see it right coming up right here. Take a look at that ankle right there that just gets twisted and rolled up. It looks pretty bad, but he's on the sideline, and they're rewrapping it, so hopefully he can get back in this ball game.
Walter James in now as a pass is tipped and nearly intercepted. The throw from Spielman was intended for Jacob Neat.
They're calling it a sprain and that he'll be back in the game. And how he got by without a break, the way that we saw that ankle turn, is a miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle, and that's a good news for Avion Kason and Illinois State that it is nothing more than a sprain, because it looked like it could be a lot worse than that.
13-13 left in the third quarter. 14-7 Indiana State. 3rd and 6. Now, as you take a look at Shannon Jackson, he has been a monster on defense. Ryan Spielman, 3rd down and 6, can actually reach a first down before getting a touchdown, and the pass is overthrown. Troy Hunter was the intended receiver. Outstanding coverage from Michael Brooks of Indiana State.
And they try to run that crosser underneath, hoping that they can get that guy running away from the defensive back Brooks again. But great coverage by Brooks. And you'll see right here, he just closes and does a good job on him.
And Joe Helbush tipping the ball as soon as it was released from the hands of Ryan Spielman. And now Illinois State thinking about a field goal. They have Jake Strader on the field. Strader 4 of 5 this season, as long as 38 yards. Spielman will be the holder. Mike Moore is the long snapper. Placement, and the kick is up and good. A 24-yard field goal from Jake Strader. And Indiana State's lead has been sliced by 3. 13:06 left in the third quarter. It is Indiana State 14, Illinois State 10. Back with the Redbird kickoff following this.
That ankle, and they want to keep that moving around. You see him still hobbling a little bit, but as long as he can keep that thing warm, he's going to be all right.
14-10 now is the lead for Indiana State. And DeJuan Alfonso is going to bring the kick back. Maybe the best athlete on this Indiana State team, and he's got a chance for a return, but a flag thrown late. As Alfonso gets up to the 38-yard line. Indiana State was called earlier for a block in the back on a return, and this one is going to be the same call. Illegal block in the back on the Sycamores. 28-yard return by DeJuan Alfonso, but that's going to be neutralized because of a penalty on the blue and white.
During the return, illegal block in the back, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
A point of emphasis.
You'll see right there that block in the back, right there. And as we said earlier, if you can't see the front of their numbers, you can't hit them. If you can't get your head in front, then obviously you're not supposed to hit them, and they're going to call that 9 out of 10 times.
Sheraton Fox, who has rushed the football 7 times for 50 yards, is going to keep the football after taking it to the fullback, and Fox will gain maybe a yard. Gets up to the 22, and then stuff there. Adam Waugh makes his second big play of the second half. So Illinois State really crowding the line of scrimmage. And they're sneaking some other folks up at the point of attack, JC.
Yeah, they are. They know that they've got to stop this wishbone attack and this multiple option attack. So what are they going to do? They're going to get another guy in the box to try to stop this running game. And now you're going to start to see 8 and sometimes 9 men up there in that box.
This time a counter option. And they pitch it back to Sessom, I believe. Yes, Jared Sessom on the rush. As that time a different look to try to counterstep to take some of that pursuit away. Galen Scott makes the tackle, and for Indiana State, they'll gain to make it 3rd and 3, a gain of 7 yards.
Yeah, they want to run that counter right here because you can see Illinois State is just pursuing so quickly. They want to come back, and they've actually got good numbers out there. If they can just beat one blocker, one defender right there, they've got a big game. But that's exactly what they want to do on the counter. They want to slow down this Illinois State defense.
3rd down and short, and Illinois State jumps across. Damon Gregory anticipating the snap count. Jumping across, unless Illinois State can coerce this officiating crew to call it a neutral zone infraction. No, it's going to be offsides, it appears, an encroachment or a neutral zone infraction, I should say, against Illinois State.
Prior to the snap, dead ball foul, encroachment on the defense, 5-yard penalty, reach the line to gain, first down.
We see it a lot happen by defensive linemen. They want to make a big play, 3rd down and 3. Instead of watching the snap, they anticipate.
They anticipate, and it's never their fault. They're always pointing at someone else, Mitch, that they say move to try to coerce that official into calling it on the offense. But no, nothing happening right now. The official said, no, big guy, you're offsides.
Indiana State spreads it out. They lead 14-10. They're going to throw it. Sheraton Fox off play action, unloads it down the sidelines and nowhere close to the intended receiver. Good defense by Adam Waugh, who's given the Redbirds a good second half defensively.
And what Indiana State wants to do, they want to try to hit this defense over the top, get them thinking run, and hit them over the top. But Sheridan Fox doesn't look like he has the arm strength to throw the ball down there. He's got to let it go quick, because anything past 30 yards is not going to get there, especially with the pressure that Illinois State is getting on them as well.
11:30 left third quarter. 14-10 Indiana State. Sheraton Fox has both touchdowns. He is the quarterback. Under the center, Eric Martin. 2nd and 10 out of the spread option look. They load it up. There's a sprint action, and Fox gets taken down. Excellent defensive play. Tim Angston shooting through and gets the tackle for a loss. Flagged on the play. I think this will be a legal procedure on Indiana State and probably declined by Illinois State.
Illinois State defensively has made a lot of adjustments at halftime. They are going to commit, as you said, it's on Indiana State, but they're going to commit another guy in that box to try to stop this triple option of Indiana State.
Against the offense. Penalties decline. Third down.
They call it on the back. The left halfback who had lined up on the hip of the left tackle because they call it illegal motion. There was also movement in the offensive line, but with the illegal motion, it's on a back. So anyway, it's 3rd and 14 for Indiana State from their own 29. 11:15 left third quarter, 14-10. Indiana State now will spread things out. They put both halfbacks to the right of Fox. You see him at the top of the screen. Fox, not a great thrower, is in trouble. Finn is chasing. Fox throws it late and has a completion near a first down. Up at the 43-yard line. It depends on the spot. It looks like they spotted just short. James McAtee makes his 3rd catch of the season. And this time close to a first down, but appears to be just short at the 43-yard line.
Sheridan Fox does a good job of stepping up and not seeing anything, so he buys some time by scrambling around. You see, this is not his forte as a straight drop-back passer, but he gets on the run right here, and he just makes a good play right in the face of all that pressure. You see right here, the pressure's right there. He rolls out and just throws a rope right there to number 17, James McAtee, just short of the first down.
Kevin Dean, nice punt. Zakola takes it, backpedaling at the 15 and cannot get away from the second defender down to cover it. A 42-yard punt, 3 yards on the return. Well covered by the Indiana State Sycamores. And even though the pass play did not pick up a first down, it did give Indiana State some field position to punt that football away. The Sycamores still lead the 7th-ranked Birds by 4. This week's Offensive Player of the Week in the Gateway Conference is Walter James of Illinois State. The sophomore running back had a breakout game against number 5 Northern Iowa last week in a big Illinois State victory. 2 weeks ago in our television game of the week, he came up with a big fourth-quarter touchdown pass from Kevin Glenn to put ISU ahead against Southwest Missouri State. James rushed for a career-high 171 yards with 3 touchdowns against Northern Indiana State, leading the 7th-ranked Illinois State Redbirds 14-10. The Birds with backup quarterback Ryan Spielman in there. They give it off to Walter James. James trying to get to the outside, gets through the initial flow and gets ankle tackled, but gains 10 yards up to the 27-yard line. And almost broke that one into the secondary.
You can see they've gone in and done some adjustments at halftime as well. You'll see Walter James. He's just stretching it out right here and looking for a seam. And once he finds it, he bounces outside and just turns it upfield north and south. And when this guy gets north and south, he's a very good running back. And you can see the wide receivers out here are blocking. And that's a great example right there. If you can't get your head in front, you don't block the guy. And that's what we've seen on special teams so far, where they've gotten a couple penalties. Indiana State has. And that's a good job right there of not blocking in the back.
The Redbirds on 1st and 10 give it off to James again. A flag thrown as James gets stopped after a gain of maybe a yard to the 29. Penalties. Illinois State has been called for just 2. Indiana State has been heard the whistle 3 times. And there's an injured Redbird.
That looks like Walter James.
Goodness. The 3 main skill people on this football team, Kevin Glenn, Avion Cason, and Walter James, all injured in the same game. And Todd Berry has to be thinking, what's going on?
What else could go wrong for Illinois State? And this looks like it also is a lower body injury to Walter James. And I tell you, those are the three guys that make this offense click. And if those three are out, it's going to be a huge, tremendous blow to Illinois State.
Holding is called on Illinois State. It'll move the football back to the 18-yard line. There's Avion Cason, and James coming off on his own power, so does not appear to be seriously injured. But now it's 1st and 20 for the Redbirds from their own 18. 9:44 left in the third quarter. It's 14-10, Indiana State. Willie Watts is into the game now at running back. We saw him make a defensive play earlier, so he's a two-way guy. Now the Birds will use the shotgun. Spielman, and their pass is broken up, intended for Ricky Garrett, and he just got drilled by Mike Bandy, the middle linebacker.
That's how you stop those underneath crossing routes. You punish those wide receivers coming across there, and that's what those inside backers are supposed to do. And you'll take a look at Bandy right here, number 40. He's just sitting on that. He sees the crosser comes up and just hammers Ricky Garrett. Now the next time Ricky Garrett comes through that middle, he's going to be tiptoeing and looking for that inside backer.
2nd and 20 for the Redbirds. And again, Watts shifting out of the backfield. You see three receivers to the right of the formation. It's a quarterback draw. Spielman taken down. Didn't have much of a chance. Shannon Jackson sliding down the line of scrimmage, waiting on the QB draw.
This third down play is going to be a big play for Indiana State, because if they can stop Illinois State and force them into a punt, as we see the quarterback draw right here, and there's that guy, Shannon Jackson, coming from the outside, just looping under and making a tremendous play, and that's what he brings to this defense. This guy can go all over the field and do it all, and that's why they're so happy to have him back. But if they can hold Illinois State here on third down, they're going to get good field position for their offense.
3rd and 21. Ball at their own 17. They're going to unload it long. They want Garrett. Garrett on a one-on-one play. It's going to be intercepted. Intercepted by Michael Brooks. His first career interception as an Indiana State Sycamore. Just out-jumping Ricky Garrett for the ball. Brooks is only 5'9". Garrett is 6'2".
He did a good job of shadowing the wide receiver and using his body to get to the football. And that pass was more like a punt. As we can see it, it's just a wounded duck here. And you see it just way up in the air right here. And these guys are just trying to wait for it to come down like center fielders. Michael Brooks does a good job of using his body. You see right here, he's in great position. Ricky Garrett really doesn't know where the ball is. Michael Brooks plays the ball and just lets it come right down to him. Great job of coverage by Michael Brooks.
And JC, I want to go back to the last series. The pass play that was just short of the first down didn't pick up first down yardage, but it did change the field. And now all of a sudden, Indiana State with a 4-point lead has the ball at midfield after the run by Sheraton Fox, where before it had to punt deep in its own territory.
And football is a game of field position, and that's exactly right, Mitch. Special teams definitely helped this offense out, and it was a series ago, but they punted the ball. The defense came in, had a great series, forced Illinois State to punt, and now they've got the ball at midfield, and that's exactly what you want to do. You want to work on the short field and make the other team work on the long field.
We have word that Ryan Spielman may be injured for Illinois State, as now the fullback on 2nd down and 7 getting the call is Calvin Thomas, and he gashes the Illinois State defense for a first down to the 42-yard line of Illinois State. And Dusty Burke is warming up on the sidelines for Illinois State. We're told that Ryan Spielman may have a shoulder injury.
They are really going to test the depth of their offensive football team. As we said, Kevin Glenn is out, and now Spielman may be out. Kason hurt his ankle early, and Walter James is a little gimpy. So these guys are going to have to find some plays somewhere offensively to get some points on the board.
Fox gives it off to the fullback. Thomas once again. And he'll get 5 yards to the Redbird 36-yard line, tackled by Galen Scott. Calvin Thomas now has rushed the football 3 times and has about 30 yards rushing.
As we take a look, it's almost a fumble. The ball almost comes out of there, but they do a good job Fox does a good job of reading that defensive tackle that's coming upfield, and what they're doing, they're giving the ball to Calvin Thompson on the dive to neutralize some of this aggressive get upfield type of defense that Illinois State is playing.
On 2nd and 5. This time, Fox will try to follow the fullback. This is the same play that went for a touchdown in the first quarter, and it won't go anywhere. A gain of 1 at the most. The Redbirds clog it up. Most notably, Derek Smith, a sophomore from Bartow, Florida.
And that's what they're doing. You can see now they're going to stack the middle. They walk up Derek Smith, and you can see he's unblocked in the hole, and he's going to make that play every time. A great defensive football player right there. But now they're walking an extra guy up in the box. So now Indiana State is seeing 8 and 9 men in the box, which is very tough to run against.
14-10. Todd Berry's team trails. Tim McGuire's Indiana State Sycamores. You see the clock ticking down. The second portion of the third quarter. Fox on 3rd down and short. Pitches it back to Jared Sessom, and he gets stood up and taken out of bounds for no gain on the play. Sam Young, the free safety that we'd mentioned all afternoon, covers the pitch.
We said that he was going to have a big day, and you see him right here. He's got a long ways to go, and he's not even worried about what's happening inside. He knows that his responsibility is the pitch man, and he's got to get out there, and he does a great job once again of minding his own business and getting out to his responsibility. That's what this defense has to do against an option attack. Every man has to be very disciplined in his assignment.
4th down and 5 for Indiana State at the Illinois State 36. 6:20 left third quarter. 14-10 Sycamores. Sycamores going for it. Quick pass. It is caught at the right side and caught by Marcus Clayton. Just his 6th catch of the season and his first of the game, and a nice play call by Indiana State to get the first down.
And all they do is roll the quarterback Fox out and just throws the easy stop outside for a first down. And those are the kind of patterns that they want Fox to throw, the short, easy passes. They don't really want him to get in a situation where he's got to throw the ball downfield. That is not his forte. As long as they can keep him in 3rd and short situations, their entire playbook is still open to him.
Fox, 3 of 5 passing, has thrown an interception, just 37 yards in passing. 1st and 10 at the 29 of Illinois State. Redbirds stack up on the line of scrimmage. Fox pitches it back. It is Nelson. Can't get to the corner. Taken down and out of bounds. It'll be a flag on Sam Young.
And that's just a frustration play right there. Sam Young does a good job again of getting out there, but he got upset because the running back put his hands in his face mask, straight armed him, and defensive backs don't like that, trust me. So he's got a little extra throwdown, WWF takedown style, but it was too late. It was out of bounds.
And Indiana State is going to get some more room. They're going to call maybe 2 penalties here, a face mask call and a personal foul call. Personal foul, that's the late hit out of bounds. And Sam Young taking down Matt Nelson, the running back. Todd Berry upset with the officiating crew. It's been a frustrating day for Todd Berry. His 3 main playmakers, Kevin Glenn, Avion Kaysen.
Dead ball foul, personal foul against the defense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
And that's just Sam Young just getting a little overly aggressive, and you can see on the pitch right here, running back's going to straight arm him right here. And you can see defensive backs don't like that, trust me. When a running back is straight arming you, especially up in your face mask area, you want to take that guy down. Unfortunately for Sam Young, it was out of bounds and a late personal foul.
Now the wishbone lines up all in the backfield, and they're going to throw the ball on first down, and it's underthrown. On 1st and 10 for Indiana State at the 14 of Illinois State. Sheraton Fox throwing to McAtee and underthrowing it.
And if they can get that play working, that's going to open up this option for him as well. You see offensively here, Sheraton Fox, he just runs the play action and just throws the quick stop out here. And he doesn't have to rush that. You see he was not set and drifting and threw the ball and really threw a bad pass. He's got time to set his feet and throw that quick stop out there, and that's going to open up this option for him.
6:07 left third quarter, 14-10. Indiana State threatening, and they have the lead. The pitch goes back to Sessom, and he has nowhere to go. Jared Sessom surrounded in hogtied. Zakola, Young, both there for Illinois State.
Illinois State is doing a good job defensively. We keep saying Sam Young, and you're going to continue to hear that name every time they pitch the ball because he is the guy, the free safety that's responsible for the pitch man. He's doing a tremendous job so far. What they've got to do is they've got to start cracking that wide receiver back on Sam Young so that it leaves the cornerback isolated on the running back one-on-one. And anytime you do that, you like the running back's odds of winning that matchup.
3rd and 11, Indiana State at the 14 of Illinois State. The Sycamores lead 14-10. They give it off to the fullback. Indiana State looking like they're playing for a field goal. They just dive to the fullback who will gain to the 13-yard line. And Indiana State will try to get its lead back up to 7 with a field goal attempt. The fullback, Calvin Thomas, on the carry. And Mike Medjugorje will come in to try the field goal. He's only attempted 4 this season. He does have 1 field goal that was good, a 38-yarder against Eastern Kentucky. This one is going to be placed at the 19, a 29-yard field goal with a 14-10 lead for Indiana State. The placement is down, and Medjugorje's kick is up and good. Indiana State, the true freshman, Mike Medjugorje, with his 2nd field goal of his collegiate career, and Indiana State gets back to a 7-point advantage with 4:42 left in the 3rd quarter.
Good drive by Indiana State. As you can see, these guys they needed to come down, get some points on the board to reestablish themselves offensively. They did a good job. Even though they stalled down in the red zone, they came away with 3 points.
An 11-play drive. It took 4 minutes. The face mask, or I should say the personal foul penalty on Sam Young, aided out Indiana State. And a reminder, as we look at Tim McGuire of Indiana State, his team leading 17-10. The 2-Win Sports Marketing of Northbrook, Illinois creates sports-based opportunities, solves business problems, and delivers win-win solutions. In sports marketing, 2-win means you win too. So Medjugorje with the field goal for Indiana State. As Dusty Burke, the 3rd quarterback to appear today for Illinois State, will come in for the Redbirds. As Tim McGuire, man, he's got the lead. He's stressing out. It's like, bud, you're ahead by 7. Todd Berry's lost all his guys.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But they know that the 4th quarter's been bad for them. They've lost 2 games where they've been at least tied or ahead in the 4th quarter. So he knows that this ball game is a long way from being in the bag.
Excellent point. In fact, 5 of the last 6 games lost in the conference by Indiana State has been by a touchdown or less. 17-10 Sycamores. 4:42 left in the 3rd quarter. Medjugorje kicks it away as it is taken by the deep returner. They fake the reverse, and getting the return up to the 24-yard line was Sam Young, the free safety. So they don't have Case on. And James has been beat up, although James is running onto the field now. So the return by Sam Young. But Dusty Burke. Now, Burke has actually had more action than Spielman prior to this game. Burke, 13 rushes, 64 yards, and a touchdown. He's also 10 of 15 passing for 67 yards and a touchdown. This kid actually blocked a punt last week against Northern Iowa.
I mean, he's a great athlete, but it's a very tough position to come into in the 3rd quarter at that quarterback position. But you see, he comes in, and he makes a great throw.
A bootleg pass play to Scott Preisker. It's a gain of 16 yards and a 1st down. Here's Rich Balding.
Yeah, Mitch, I saw Ryan Spielman sitting on the bench there. He's got a bruised left elbow. It looks a little bit more than bruised because the thing's swollen pretty bad. There's no way he's going to be able to control the football. That's why they decided to put Dusty Burke back into the game. Up to you.
So it's now Burke's game.
And you've got to like the play calling. Coach Berry it doesn't matter who's in the ball game. He's going to stick to his game plan. Burke comes in the first play. They let him throw the ball.
Burke, a small school Illinois kid, and gets up to the 44-yard line. Dusty Burke was the USA Today Player of the Year, high school Player of the Year in Illinois for 1996 and 97. He's from Tuscola, Illinois. And a kid that looks like he's got some decent speed, too. So now a running threat there, maybe more of a running threat than Ryan Spielman.
That's exactly right. And obviously, by him being a running threat, he brings that to the table. Also, opposing this Indiana State defense, a lot like Kevin Glenn. Obviously, neither one of those guys are as productive as Kevin Glenn, but they're a threat nonetheless.
Burke wants to throw the football and zings one to Troy Hunter. It's a first down for Illinois State. Little 48-yard line of Indiana State. The catch made in front of Michael Brooks.
And I tell you, he does a good job. He looks good. He doesn't look like a third-string quarterback, that's for sure. You see he steps up, gets his feet set, and just throws the curl outside in front of that 3-deep zone coverage, which we saw them doing a lot in the first half.
We've also seen what Illinois State is trying to do. They are attacking the cornerback, Michael Brooks of Indiana State. Burke, near fumble as he gets the ball eventually to James, and this is a loss back to midfield, a loss of 2. Troy Lefevre again there. Also there, Joe Helbush for this Indiana State defensive line, but Illinois State fortunate that ball wasn't fumbled.
Yeah, almost a big turnover there by Illinois State. It might have been a mishap in the transaction, but an interesting thing is Walter James, you see his right pinky there. He dislocated that pinky in practice this week and actually has some stitches in it right now, so that could play a factor in him handling the football.
Second down and 12. Burke to throw, and he finds Garrett. He's up to the 40, ankle tackle after a gain of 9. Corey Pierce on the stop. Let's go down to Rich Baldinger.
Yeah, Mitch, you know, we've been talking about Troy Lefevre all day today. But let me tell you something. Between the stunts and between the pressure he's putting on the quarterback, he's caused more disruption against the running and the passing play. He is the emotional leader of this team. And Coach McGuire even said of his offense, guys, we've got to play like our defense. Stop making excuses. Make the plays. Follow the example like Troy Lefevre is doing out there, and you'll be all right. Back to you.
Third down and 2 for Illinois State at the 40 of Indiana State. 17-10. The Sycamores lead on a sweep play. This will be close. The sweep play goes to Walter James. Forced out of bounds by Mike Bandy, the linebacker.
Looks like he might be just short. You see, they're just going to try to get Walter James outside. They block everybody down on the corner and try to pull the tackle and get him outside. Walter James has got to turn that ball up a little quicker, stay in bounds, and get behind those big guys for that first down. It looks like he's just short.
Yeah, you talked about the finger. You see it bandaged up. It was actually a fracture. They actually saw a bone coming up, protruding out of the skin in a practice injury earlier this week. James showing some toughness playing with that injury. I mean, we're not talking about a sprain here.
Yeah, that's tough, especially for a guy who handles the football. So what you'll probably see is him handling the football, and he does get the first down, just barely.
So Illinois State keeps the ball. First down, 32-yard line. Just say it's a compound dislocation of his finger. 1:56 left in the third quarter. 17-10. Indiana State with the advantage. But Dusty Burke now just seems just a little more fluid.
A little more fluid. And they're letting him come along very slowly by throwing those short hooks, those easy passes to throw and complete.
Burke will option. James in trouble, surrounded and taken down. 2 yards just on a little quick late burst by James, as again Burke running the option, a play that Indiana State likes to use. Troy Lefevre on the stop.
And as Rich was talking about, Lefevre is a very big part of this defense, and you see him just follow his tackle down and just plays back outside. He does a very good job right here, playing off the blocker and cutting off the angle for Walter James and making him turn the ball up, and actually makes the play himself also. Troy Lefevre is a little undersized at 216, but he makes plays.
Second down, 8 for Illinois State at the 36 of Indiana State. This is a long one. They want Garrett in the end zone, and he overthrows it. Garrett again attacking Michael Brooks.
And obviously they've seen something in the films during the week about Michael Brooks to make them think that they can attack him. And you see that where they run the ball at him. But let's take a look at the deep throw. Dusty does a good job of getting air under this ball to give his receiver a chance. Michael Brooks does a good job of coverage that time, but they're definitely going at him. You see him try to look off the free safety, too, which is a good sign by Dusty Burke that he is an experienced guy back there, and he feels very comfortable. He tries to look the free safety off and then come back to his receiver downfield.
3rd and 8 for the Birds at the 36 of Indiana State. 17-10 Sycamores. 1:09 left in the third quarter. Burke's going to throw it again. Burke's got a man open. This time it's tipped away at the very last, and now they're going to throw a flag. Michael Brooks jumped in late and tipped the pass away, but maybe with his offhand, JC, pushed the receiver.
With that right hand, he just got a grab on the receiver to get around him. to block that pass. That's that old defensive back move, but you got to do that a lot quicker. Michael Brooks got caught that time.
DeJuan Alfonso upset and complaining about the call. Pass interference on Indiana State.
They just ran that seam. You'll see the receiver running this seam route right here. And you just can't see Michael Brooks right there, but right before they come in the screen, he grabs the receiver with his right hand to try to get his body around and make a play on the ball. And everybody sees it. And you know how those defensive backs are. They never interfere. They never hold.
Previous spot, automatic first down.
Or do anything. And that's what you have to do as a defensive back. You've got to try to make those plays, and if you get caught, you got to act like you didn't do anything wrong and blame it on the offensive guys. But that time, Michael Brooks got caught. Big play, pass interference that gives Illinois State a first down.
Penalties nearly dead even. Illinois State now threatening, wanting to tie the game, trailing by 7. Burke, nice check down throw. This goes to Watts in the left flag. And Watts is taken down at the 13-yard line. It's a 7-yard pickup. Corey Pierce on the stop.
I tell you, Dusty Burke looks very good back there. He's looking the defenders off and looking downfield. He knows the whole time he's going to throw the ball to his back. But watch where his head is. His head is looking downfield the whole time until the last second right there. And what that does is it keeps those linebackers and those DBs deep to allow his running back time to get open over there in the flat.
Second down and 3 for Illinois State at the 13 of Indiana State. Watts trying to go off tackle, got a first down. He gets to the 9-yard line before he is stopped. And eventually stopped by Tony Albring. But it's a first down and goal to go for Illinois State.
The offensive line for Illinois State is doing a good job now, and you see those guys coming off the ball very strong right here, just getting a hat on hat. You see the receiver outside blocking as well. All they want to do is get a hat on a hat and allow their running backs to pick a hole to get through. But now they are starting to dominate up front offensively, and we have not heard the name of Shannon Jackson and Troy Lefevre very much this second half.
This will be the last play of the third quarter. Play clock at 3 seconds. Out of the shotgun. Burke, it's a slip screen. Inside the 5, it's a touchdown for Illinois State. Nice call by Todd Berry. Little slip screen to Troy Hunter. That is his first touchdown this season and the first touchdown in his career at Illinois State.
And good patience by Dusty Burke. He knew he was going to get hit, but he waited for his receiver to clear. And you can see right here, Dusty Burke just stands in there. He knows he's going to get hit, but he waits for his receiver to uncover and clear open for the easy touchdown.
And a great job by Dusty Burke, who came in and acted like he's been playing this entire game. 1 series, 1 score for Dusty Burke. Into hold is the other injured quarterback, Ryan Spielman. And Jake Strader ties the game with a point after. There's a look at Troy Hunter. He just had the touchdown. And take a look at a well-executed slip screen. As Troy Hunter gets into the end zone, and we've got a tie ball game as we head to the fourth quarter. Cox Stadium in Normal, Illinois. Troy Hunter, his first career touchdown on a 9-yard pass from Dusty Burke. And how about the job Dusty Burke did? 11 plays, 76-yard drive.
I mean, Dusty came in and acted like he was the man the whole time. He just came in very poised, very confident, very calm, and led this Illinois State team all the way downfield to tie the ball game up. And you can see Dusty comes in right off the bat. Throws a good pass to Preisker right there. Comes back and he's running the ball. He's doing it all. He's setting up. He's looking off defenders downfield, throwing it short, and just a lot of patience right there. He knew he was going to get sacked, gets a hit rather, but he just stays patient and lets his receiver, Troy Hunter, uncover for the touchdown.
Last year, Indiana State led Illinois State after 3 quarters in Terre Haute, 20-10. Illinois State scored a 98-yard touchdown with 1 minute and 44 seconds left to win. Now the two teams are tied in the fourth quarter. This is Sheraton Fox on the option, and he'll gain 6 yards up to the 26-yard line. On the quarterback keeper on the option, Adam Waugh and Devin Finn get credited with the Redbird tackle. Yeah, Dusty Burke, his phone card's almost used up. But I like the way the kid looks. I mean, Kevin Glenn's got a pretty good guy in waiting here in this guy.
He's on hold. He's calling home, letting his parents and everybody know he's playing. So he's trying to get through to say, hey, Mom, I'm playing. You got to turn it on.
Pretty soon, though, he has to face the phone patrol. Second down and 4 for Indiana State from their own 26. Fox on the option. Pitches it. This is Nelson. Can't get the angle. Good defense by Illinois State. Sam Young again. He's getting up to 15, 20 tackles.
Now, he's all over the field today. What Indiana State has got to do, they're not being successful very much outside. You can see Sam Young again. He's just sprinting outside. He knows that's his only job is to take the pitch man. What Indiana State should start doing is cracking that wide receiver back on him to neutralize him, which leaves the cornerback one-on-one with the running back. And those cornerbacks don't like to see those running backs out there with no help. So it's definitely in Indiana State's favor if they can do that.
3rd and 3 for Indiana State from their own 27. 17-17 tie. They give it off to Nelson, and Nelson has a hole. Nelson's got a lot of room. Crosses midfield, and a big play as Sam Young chases him out at the 40-yard line of Illinois State. It will go as a 33-yard run by Matt Nelson as that time. Indiana State loading it up on the counter and exploding through a big hole.
And you can see the counter right here. Great block, but watch the cornerback right there. What we've been talking about all day. Those cornerbacks don't want to make a lot of tackles out there. Trust me, and Alfred Corbin is isolated out there one-on-one with the running back, Matt Nelson, and that is in favor of Indiana State every time.
1st and 10 at the 40 now as Indiana State moving the ball. Game tied at 17. Again, they loaded up on the option. Fox will keep it. Fox will get no gain. Stuff. Let's go to Rich Balding.
Mitch, you know, the one thing we have to be in to look at for the defensive line here for Indiana State is fatigue. You know, Troy Lefebvre, he's missed the last 3 games, and, you know, no matter what you can do with the broken foot, you can't do much conditioning. On the other side, same with Shannon Jackson. You got to play yourself into shape, so that will become a question mark. And the other mistake they're having with the cornerbacks, just like against Southwest Missouri, these guys are getting caught inside. They're not calling out the picks at all, and that's why Illinois State has been able to get to the outside on some of the runs. Back to you.
So from an Indiana State perspective, the Sycamores need to hang on to the ball here as long as they can, and a pass nearly intercepted. Pass was intended for James McAtee, and Armando Andrade almost intercepted it.
And that's a good job by these cornerbacks, knowing that now Indiana State is going to run those quick hitches outside, and you can jump those because Fox is not the type of quarterback that is going to beat you downfield very often. So they can sit all over these routes right now, these short routes, and force them to continue to run the ball or try to hit them deep.
All right, 3rd down play for Indiana State. 12:41 left in the game. 39 Sycamores from the 39 of Illinois State. Little play fake. They want to set up a backside pass. They're throwing it long for the halfback, and Young knocks it away.
And guess who?
Sam Young.
He is all over the football field. Not only is he making the plays on the pitch versus the option, but he gets deep and breaks up the post pattern, and that's what they wanted to try to do. And you can see he does a good job of being patient and then reading the play and then being able to get back and make the play right there. That's a good job by Sam Young of playing that center field position. It's very tough against a team like Indiana State, but he is playing one heck of a ball game today.
14 tackles. 14 tackles for Young.
Wow.
And a pass broken up. As you take a look at Young, who will now go back and block. As kicking for field position is the punter, Kevin Dean. He's caught by Zacola at the 14, and flags will be thrown because the bubble wasn't given for Zacola. This is going to be a punt interference penalty on Indiana State. Possibly. As now an argument ensues. There's a look at Ryan Zacola, who made a dangerous punt return of 7 yards. Just a 26-yard punt, but in the defense of Dean, he's trying to punt for field position. Now DeJuan Alfonso is arguing for Indiana State. It appears that Indiana State may be called for punt interference. That's the call. The cushion not given by the Sycamores on the punt return.
And you see, you've got to give the return man enough yardage to catch the ball, and they are all over him right here. DeJuan Alfonso knows better than that, but he's just waiting.
Interference in violation of the 2-yard belt. Penalty is declined. First down.
Yeah, it's a 2-yard area, circumference around the punt returner, where the defender's got to give him 2 yards on all sides to let him get the return.
You've got to give him 2 yards, but when you're a coverage guy, what you're wanting to do is go down there and make a big hit, and that time he got too close.
Sam Young's been big for Illinois State. The game is tied early in the 4th quarter. Tied at 17-17 as Dusty Burke runs the option and taken down right at the 20-yard line. No gain on the play. Shannon Jackson chasing him down. If you want information on the internet on the Gateway Football Conference, there's your address. On the World Wide Web at .gatewayfootball, all one word, no spaces please, .org. The incomparable Mike Kern with one of the great web pages in all of college football. You'll find it there on www.gatewayfootball.org. 2nd and 10 now for the Redbirds. Game tied at 17 early in the 4th quarter. Dusty Burke, quarterback draw, and gets by the first defender and has room and gains 15 yards up to the 35-yard line. It looked like he was in trouble early, J.C. Pearson, and then on second effort, the freshman gets a first down. Pierce and Alfonso on the tackle.
He does a good job of improvising on the run. You can see he's just going to follow his center. Just a quarterback keep right here. He's just going to follow his center, run into the back of him. But the center does a good job of continuing to block. Mr. Ted Wolf down there does a good job, and Mike Prodbar does a good job right there. You see, and he just cuts right behind him, and there's a lot of room right there behind him.
And now Burke keeps it again, and he advances the ball to the 41. It's a gain of 6 on first down. Shannon Jackson on the tackle. Keep in mind, Todd Berry, as the head coach of Illinois State, has led his team to 4 fourth-quarter rallies, including the game we had 2 weeks ago when he won on the road at Southwest Missouri 46-42.
And in this 4th quarter, Indiana State has to probably start to question themselves because, as we said, they've been ahead or tied in 2 of the ball games that they've lost in the 4th quarter.
2nd down and 4. Now for Dusty Burke, who's been very impressive. This goes to James, and James gets taken down as good penetration by Indiana State. Shannon Jackson again on the stop, and Corey Pierce helping him out. So the question about fatigue for Mitch Baldinger is Jackson gets up slowly, but now Jackson has made 3 plays defensively on this drive.
And they need another big play from him right now because it's 3rd down. And if they can stop Illinois State and get their offense the ball back, they'll be in pretty good field position.
17-17 tie. 3rd and 2 for the Redbirds at their own 43. They give it off to James. He has no chance. Great penetration by Delbert Mims. His 6th tackle for a loss this season, and Joe Hellovich was there also to finish him off. Illinois State forced a punt.
They just did a great job of getting off the ball and beating Illinois State to the punch. We'll take a look at these guys up front. They just get off the ball a lot quicker than Illinois State, and you can see Delbert Mims in the backfield for a tackle for a loss. That is a good job by Indiana State of getting upfield and getting off the football field.
Illinois State runs its punt unit on late. That is their custom. Indiana State just keeps their regular defense on the field, and they're going to put DeJuan Alfonso back to return this punt, and he is dangerous. Alfonso surrounded and runs out of room, goes out at the 25-yard line. Jake Strader's punt, a 10-yard return by DeJuan Alfonso, as Jake Strader unhappy with that punt. The punt was 38 yards. We're going to step aside. 9:25 left in the game. It's a 17-17 tie here in Normal, Illinois. Conferring with the linesman, a 17-17 tie. 9:25 left in the game here on the campus of Illinois State University. Sheraton Fox pitches it wide on the option. This goes to Nelson, and Nelson runs over Sam Young, who makes his 15th tackle. But he will gain good yardage as he gets up to the 31-yard line in a gain of about 5.
And Sam Young is saying, no, no, no. I'm going to be out there every time to make the play. And that time he actually gives up 6 yards, but that's still a good job by Sam Young because he's got an awful long way to go to make that play.
Nelson checking his rushing total. Been busy. 10 for 58 yards. Entered the game with 34 carries and a 5.8-yard average. Indiana State loads it up. Load option. Fox has nowhere to go, and he gets popped hard at the 32 after a gain of just a yard. Big hit. Devin Finn that time, a defensive tackle, chasing and scraping all the way down the line of scrimmage.
All the way down the line of scrimmage, and that shows you the speed of this defense and the aggressiveness. You can see that they're just going to string the ball out, going all the way down the line of scrimmage, and that's what you want to do against this option team. Just continue to string it out, and you see all the red shirts right there. Fox just finds a hole to duck up in, but there are 5 red shirts around to make the tackle.
Let's go down to Rich Baldinger.
Yeah, you know, Mitch, we've been talking about down there this defense line on both sides. And the one guy we forgot to talk about in Indiana State is Delbert Mims, a big 280-pounder. But once again, he might be my Rico Suave. I think he's more about a 310er. On the other side, Illinois has done a great job in stretching it out. Much better job using their hands and controlling the offensive linemen. Thereby, there's no cutback lanes at all on that option. Back to you.
Indiana State tries a dive to John Effinger. And Indiana State appears to be short of a first down, and not by much. It would be 4th down and short. And Tim McGuire trying to make sure just how short on that Sycamore sideline. They're going to bring out the chains close enough to measure. 7:53 left in the game. 17-17 is the score. Other scores in the gateways, we take a look at the measurement. Southern Illinois leading Youngstown State 17-14 at halftime at McAndrew Stadium in Carbondale. Western Illinois leading the Fighting Christians of Elon College 17-14 third quarter. And Northern Iowa with a 35-0 lead over Cal Poly. Used to be Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, now just Cal Poly at halftime. Indiana State short of the first down, so they bring the punting unit on the field, JC, with 7:53 left in the game.
And that's a good call because they can't go for it and risk missing the 4th down and not getting the yardage and turning the ball over on their own 35-yard line with 7:50 left in the ball game. So this is a very good play by Indiana State and Coach McGuire.
Illinois State's blocked 3 punts under the tutelage of Todd Perry, but this one is away, and Zacola picks it up, goes to a knee. It's not the NFL, and so he's going to be marked down at the 39-yard line. So the punt by Dean, 26 yards, not a good punt. 7:40 left in the game. It's tied at 17. And the Illinois State Redbirds, they're tied at 17-17. 7:40 left in the game. Dusty Burke at quarterback, the freshman. Illinois State wants to go over the middle, and this pass is overthrown and incomplete, and a late flag thrown, in Indiana State is going to argue that it's an uncatchable pass. Michael Brooks will be called to the PI if it stands. Again, but that is a questionable call right there. That ball is probably going to be uncatchable, but it looks like they're going to give it to him. Now we take a look at it here right now. It's that same route, and you see he gets to him just right before the ball gets there. He hits him with the body, and that's going to get called every time, and that is a good call right there because he did hit the receiver prior to the ball getting there.
Defensive pass interference, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
And we talked about the ball possibly being uncatchable. That's a tough call because if he doesn't get bumped right there, he may be able to lay out and make that catch. So they've got to make that pass interference call. Tim McGuire, somewhat unflappable over there. I asked him about his schedule before the game. I'll tell you about after this play. 1st and 10 for first. Here comes the bootleg play that he ran so well earlier. This time he's going to have to keep it and run. Now he throws it late and throws it away. Smart move because he saw he couldn't pick up any yardage and dumps it away. He had a receiver there, so it's not intentional grounding. Troy Lefevre was on the chase along with Delbert Mims. Now, before the game, we said that murderous schedule from Indiana State because they had to play at Oklahoma, where they picked up about $210,000. They went to Iowa State, picked up $175,000. Then they played at Eastern Kentucky and at Youngstown State. The AD came to him and said, okay, I'm not going to put you in a situation, but, you know, hey, it's like $500,000. Do we do it? And Tim McGuire said, I've sat in those same meetings where we're fighting for money for this school and gender equity and everything else. We'll do it. Let's do it. And not only that, he's playing against a much higher level of competition, which only increases his team's experience and playing against opponents as well. So, I mean, they're going to benefit all around.
They played like it today. Long pass, overthrown, intended for Garrett from Dusty Burke. LeVar Lester was covering for Indiana State. So a couple times now we've seen Dusty Burke try to go deep middle and overthrow it.
And this time they try to pick on LeVar Lester. They've been working on Michael Brooks all day, and they hope that they could catch Luster sleeping over there. You can see it's just a drop back with the post right over Luster. And look, you see Ricky Garrett might be able to lay out and make that catch. You see right here, he doesn't give much effort. Ricky Garrett has got to try to lay out, extend his body out there and get horizontal and try to come up with a huge play for his ball club.
Illinois State has 3rd and 10 at the 46 of Indiana State. Game tied at 17, 7:23 left in the game. Burke sets up quickly, has a man wide open. It's Garrett at the 30-yard line. And taken down, but it's a first down for Illinois State. And a gain to the 32 and a gain of 14. And again, they go after Michael Brooks.
And they go back over to Michael Brooks. They try to hit Luster on the deep pass, and then they come back to Michael Brooks, and you can see him just running out of there. And you can't do that. Even if you're in zone coverage, you never want to just turn your back and run unless you know that receiver is going downfield. He's getting out of there much too quickly. Ricky Garrett just hooks up about 12 yards downfield. It's just an easy throw and catch for Dusty and Ricky at that time on that curl route for a first down.
First down at the 32. Clock at 6:55 left now in the game. Game tied at 17. It's Burke. Wants James in the flat. And James, a collision at the 30-yard line. Big-time collision. It was Dathan Fairley, a sophomore from Muncie, Indiana. And he blasts Walter James down at the 30.
That's what I'm talking about, Mitch. That's football right there. Dathan Fairley, 6'1", 210 pounds, and he brings the wood to Walter James. Look at this right here. And James tries to bring it to him, and they both, wow.
Listen to this. That's a head turner.
And look at the effects. I mean, Walter James's body just goes limp. I mean, like a knockout shot, and you don't see that very often. So Dathan Fairley just brought the wood to Mr. James.
And may have a stinger. He's up on his feet. As on the next play, Dusty Burke running a reverse option type play, gets down to the 27-yard line as you look at Walter James. But it's 3rd and 5 now for Illinois State and Coach Todd Berry. Shannon Jackson is limping off the field. So one of the big play outside defenders for Indiana State is off the field on 3rd and 5 for Illinois State at the 27 of the Sycamores. Game tied at 17, 5.5 minutes left in the game. Burke again on a bootleg play. Burke can run it. Throws it late. He's got the receiver. That's Jacob Neat, and it's a first down at the 20.
I tell you, this Dusty Burke looks good, and he does a good job of looking the defenders off again, which is huge because as a defender, if you're trying to read the quarterback, you don't know where the ball is going. You can see he doesn't turn his head until the last possible second before he throws the ball out there for a first down. And look at that toe drag. He got 2 toes in like the NFL, and all they need is 1. Great job out there.
Jacob Neat had been out for a long time with a torn finger tendon, but had back last week for 5 catches. And Neat in this game has been effective as well. Burke on first down to throw. Pump fake. Now scrambling. He's going to run it at the 15 and gets sandwiched, but is up at the 11-yard line and gains 9 yards on first down. Lefevre and Albrink sandwich him, but Dusty Burke again with a good read.
And that's what it takes sometimes. You need a quarterback to come in and give you a spark, and Dusty has been that spark today. They've had some injuries, but this guy's come in and made plays, and you see when there's nothing there, he'll pull it down. He's got to take care of that football right there at the end and make sure he doesn't fumble it, but this guy has come in and really sparked this offensive football team.
17-17 tie. At the very least, Illinois State within field goal range. Second down and a yard. Burke. Walter James has the first down. In fact, he squirts to the 7. Corey Pierce saved an Illinois State touchdown.
Illinois State offensively starting to get on track. You can see Walter James. He's starting to feel it and saying, hey, yeah, I'm ready. Give me the ball. And you can see they're just stringing it out. Those big offensive linemen are out there. And Walter James at 215 pounds and all that speed, once he gets turned upfield, it's tough to stop him. And he's saying, hey, bring it on because I'm coming, baby.
Illinois State again spreads it out. First down and goal to go at the 6. 17-17 tie. Inside of 4.5 left in the game. Burke. This is James getting some blocking, but then runs out of room, forced out. At the 3 after a gain of 3, LeVar Luster there.
Walter James is a very good running back. Not only can he hit it up inside, but also he can bounce it outside and be very patient. You see him just right there, just waiting for the blockers to set up so that he can get around the corner. And you can see this cornerback, LeVar Luster, really doesn't want to come up and hit him. Walter James has been pounding the ball at these guys all day, and that's what happens at the end of the ball game. The defense sometimes starts to loosen up and not really want to hit you.
2nd and goal to go at the 3. James is in the backfield. Dusty Burke is the quarterback. Handoff. James. He's nailed at the 2. Can gain just a yard. Good push by the Indiana State right side of the defensive line.
You can see this is going to be a big play for Indiana State. You got the linebacker shooting the gap right there. Number 40, Mike Bandy, does a good job of getting through the gap to try to get a hand on Walter James and slow him down. This is going to be a big play for Indiana State to try to prevent the touchdown.
3rd down and goal to go at the 1-yard line. All of the Illinois State players are calling for the big train. Walter James, he gets it right side. James.
The ball
and he
out.
fumbled the ball. James fumbled the ball. And let's see what they rule here. Walter James was hit. And the ball was loose and no signal given yet. Illinois State had a fumble earlier at this part of the field. And Indiana State says they have the football. It's a recovery now by Indiana State.
And that's 2 fumbles by Walter James right at the goal line. And you can see the ball right here. And the ball just comes out right at the end right there. And that is a fumble. That's a good job by Indiana State of continuing to play tough defense and not giving up anything. And that is the 2nd time that Walter James has fumbled right in the end zone.
Dathan Fairley recovers the fumble for Indiana State at the 1-yard line. Dusty Burke and Walter James cannot believe it. The 2nd time inside the 5 that Illinois State has lost the ball on a fumble in the game. Now, Indiana State has to go 99 yards. Last year, Illinois State went 98 in a similar circumstance out of his own end zone. This is Sheraton Fox. And Fox moves the ball up to the 9-yard line. And how about the gutsy call? Fox was in his own end zone and almost tackled for a safety. Let's go to Rich Boldinger.
You know, I'm down here, and I'll tell you what, Mitch, you could just see the whole tempo just swing on that fumble down here. But, you know, you got to take some credit to Indiana State. You know, losing 4 games. They've lost a lot of games, all of them in the 4th quarter, but these guys are hanging tough. I thought fatigue might be a factor, but yet these guys are sucking it up, fighting through, and that's what you want to see on a team if they want to become a winner. Back to you.
Yeah, how odd that this game now reflects the game like last year. And the fact that a team has to drive the length of the field, which it did last year. Illinois State did to get the victory. How can Indiana State did? This is Nelson's got the 1st down on 2nd effort. Out of bounds to stop the clock. At the 13, and it's enough for a 1st down. Alfred Corbin chased him out. 2nd effort here by Matt Nelson.
Matt Nelson does a good job right here of continuing that 2nd effort to try to get the 1st down and does a good job of that. That gives them 3 more downs, but what they are really doing is they are giving themselves room. They were pinned way down in their own territory. Now they've got some room to start to do some other things offensively.
1st and 10 for Indiana State. At its own 12-yard line. 2:38 left in regulation. 17-17 tie. Again, this is Sheraton Fox breaking tackles and gets up to the 21 and gains 8 yards.
Sheraton Fox looks like he's going to take this game on his back and try to pull it out. Does a good job, just like we saw earlier in the 1st half, of just following the fullback through the hole. You see right here, that is a designed play for Sheraton Fox to keep the football. And as we said, he is their leading rusher. And if anybody's going to have the ball when the game's on the line, he's the guy that's going to have it. You can see he's got 77 yards today, and that first carry was a big one for 54 yards and a touchdown.
Damian Gregory making the stop, but a 1st down picked up as the fullback John Effinger picks it up for Indiana State. 1:56 left in regulation. A 17-17 tie. And just in case you're wondering, in Gateway Conference games that have gone to overtime, There have been 13 prior to this season. And in 1997, Indiana State beat Illinois State 16-13 right here at Hancock Stadium in 2 overtime. 1st and 10 for the Sycamores. They're going to try to come on the reverse, and now all of a sudden Sheraton Fox reverses his field and goes down at the 21. It's a loss of 3. The Sycamores were looking to run the straight reverse, but Illinois State stuffs it out.
Yeah, Indiana State was hoping to get Illinois State over pursuing. They haven't run this play all day, but they weren't quite able to execute it. Credit Illinois State. You see right here, you'll see the reverse coming around, but they're not able to get it because the timing is way off on that. And actually, number 7 for Illinois State, Marcus White, did a good job of staying home and reading that. But Indiana State was hoping to get a big play on that reverse.
A reminder that 2 Win Sports Marketing of Northbrook, Illinois salutes the Gateway Football Conference and its distinguished members on another year of Division I AA athletic and academic excellence. In sports marketing, 2 win means you win too. Here it's 1:24 left in the game. And a 17-17 tie between Illinois State and Indiana State. Last year there were 2 games in the Gateway Conference involving overtime. Illinois State was involved in a 41-38 win over Southern Illinois. That game was here as well. So Todd Berry's been in an overtime situation before. It's Tim McGuire trying to figure out a way to get his wishbone-oriented football team 80 yards up the field, or at least close enough to try a field goal.
With 1:24 left, it would be interesting to see if they just try to run this clock out and get into overtime, or if they're going to actually be aggressive and try to get on the scoreboard.
Bootleg play. It is Sheraton Fox loses his footing and goes down. Well defended by Scott Cook, the defensive end for Illinois State.
They just try to get Sheraton Fox on the bootleg, but it fools absolutely nobody. And they've got to be very careful here, because if they've got to punt this ball away, they could be giving up very good field position to Illinois State.
And what Illinois State is doing here now, Illinois State has called the last 2 timeouts. So what Todd Berry is thinking here, force Indiana State to punt, use your timeouts on defense to stop the clock, get some field position, and think about a field goal.
That's exactly right, because if they can stop Indiana State right here, they may get the ball about the 50-yard line, and all they need is a couple quick passes to get out of bounds to get in field goal range. So they're using their timeouts very, very wisely right now.
Dusty Burke, which sounds like an old Western from the 60s. There's the quarterback, though, the redshirt freshman for Illinois State, waiting his turn on the sideline. But the Redbirds have to defend the Sycamores on this 3rd and 16 play from Indiana State's own 18-yard line. 1:17 left in regulation. The game is tied at 17.
And for Indiana State, it's 3rd and 16, and they're not a passing football team, and they're not going to make this yardage very often. So what they may do is keep the ball on the ground to force Illinois State to either use that timeout, or at least they can run some more clock off of this, run more time off of this clock.
A down and distance that is not to the liking of Indiana State. Sheraton Fox has had a couple big plays in this game running the football. 72 yards rushing and 18 carries. And now a flag thrown. A flag thrown. It looks like illegal substitution is on Indiana State. They must have had 12 players in the huddle. It'll be a legal substitution. 12 men in the huddle on Indiana State, and they ran a guy off late. And so what it does for Illinois State is to take the penalty. You lose no time on the clock, and it makes the field position to the betterment of the Illinois State Redbirds.
Prior to the snap, illegal substitution, 12 men in a huddle, 5-yard penalty.
Now it is 3rd and 21 for Indiana State from its own 13.
And the smart thing to do for Indiana State right now is to keep the ball on the ground. But you'll see right here that there's the 12th guy right there. All those guys, 11 and 12, coming into the huddle. And you can't do that, especially at this point in the ball game, because it's costing you. It's from 3rd and 16 to 3rd and 21. I mean, those 5 yards can be very, very critical right now. what they should do is keep the ball on the ground and force Illinois State to take their last timeout and stop the clock.
So Indiana State now talking over its options with 1:17 left in regulation, and the game tied at 17-17. Kevin Glenn has made it back to the sidelines, and there's a look at his left knee. We were told it was a sprain. There is Kevin Glenn. Kevin Glenn, who was injured in the first quarter of this game. They will do an MRI on him once the swelling goes down and give the diagnosis. But that'll be interesting news to the other members of the Gateway Conference. 17-17 tie. Tim McGuire trying to get his group organized on the sideline. Right now, field position is against him.
It's definitely against them. 3rd and 21, and they are not a ball club that is typically going to get this kind of yardage. Right now, you've got to think strategy. Keep the ball on the ground and run some time off of this clock so that Illinois State, when they get the ball on offense, they've got to do something quickly.
Quarterback in now is Steve Englehart, the designated passer. He passes, little delay pattern. It is caught by Nelson at the 25. It's a gain of 12 yards, but they needed 21. But it does give some field position for Indiana State, and Illinois State will use the final timeout. He did catch it in bounds, forcing Illinois State to use that final timeout. And the first thing Illinois State will do will come after the punter. They have blocked 3 punts under Todd Berry here at Illinois State, plus blocked the field goal, and 2 of those resulted in touchdowns. And there you see the Redbirds with no timeouts left. But we've seen lately in football, in a situation like this, you're much better off using your timeouts on defense because offensively you can stop the clock a variety of ways.
That's exactly right. You can always stop it offensively by clocking it or throwing the ball out of bounds or getting out of bounds if you've got the ball in your hands. So they're going to get very good field position here. As you said, they're probably going to come after the punter, and they've got to be very careful if they don't block it not to rough the punter and give the ball back to Indiana State, because they're going to get pretty good field position, and with about a minute left after this play, they're going to have plenty of time to get into field goal range.
The punter for Indiana State is Kevin Dean. As you see, Todd Berry, what a day he has had, and his team has really reacted very well to a tough situation, losing their quarterback Kevin Glenn in the first quarter and having a couple of other big playmakers out. Indiana State's average today punting the football is 33 yards. Kevin Dean out of Brazil, Indiana, a true freshman punter, 5'8", 165. And Brian Zacola back for Illinois State. Looks like Illinois State is setting up a return. It's a high snap. And the punt is away and hammered it. Zacola backpedals back at his own 28. It's by Alfonso and then gets blasted by 3 Sycamores at the 34-yard line. Outstanding punt by the true freshman Kevin Dean. 47-yard punt, 4 yards on the return, and now 57 seconds left in regulation. Game tied at 17, and Illinois State has 1st and 10 at its own 34.
What a job by a freshman punter coming in, pressure-packed situation. He's acting like he's a senior. No problem whatsoever. He actually booms that punt, which is exactly what they needed. But I tell you, that's a great job by a freshman.
And another freshman, this one a redshirt freshman, Dusty Burke, on a quarterback draw across the 40, on his feet across the 50-yard line, and all the way up to the 46. It is a gain of 20 yards by Dusty Burke. DeJuan Alfonso made the tackle.
And that was huge, and he's going to come right at you. And look, there is no one in the middle of that defense for Indiana State. Great call by Illinois State for a huge gain that gets them over midfield. And you can see right here, there is no one in the middle of that football field, and that's just a great call by Illinois State. It stops the clock because it's a 1st down. What they've got to do is get on the ball right now and get a play called so that once the refs wind the clock, they're ready to go.
Illinois State out of timeouts. Clock moving now. 47 seconds left in the game. 17-17 tie. Burke wants to throw it this time, and underthrows his intended receiver as he trapping the football. Is Walter James on coverage. Corey Pierce for Indiana State. That will stop the clock with the incompletion at 41 seconds left in the game. 17-17 tie. Jake Strader warming up on the sidelines. And all of a sudden now illegal procedure is going to be called on Illinois State. But Strader, there he is on the sidelines getting ready.
And Illinois State doesn't have to be in a huge hurry here, even though they have no timeouts.
Illegal formation, only 6 players on the line of scrimmage. Replay, first down.
This entire field is still open to them. They can throw the ball down the middle of the field and still have time to get on the ball and stop the clock. So they don't have to just think about throwing the out routes and getting out of bounds. This entire football field is still wide open for Illinois State.
And now a timeout has been called by Indiana State, apparently, with 41 seconds left in regulation, in the game tied at 17. It'll be 1st and 15 down and distance. And now the ball is back on the Illinois State side at the 48-yard line as Tim McGuire has a chat with his defensive captains while you see Todd Berry talking to his coaches up in the press box.
And defensively, Tim McGuire's got to be wondering if they're going to try to get heat on the quarterback or drop back underneath some of those routes. It's a tough situation to be in with 41 seconds left and trying to prevent field position, because all they need is a field goal to lose. So he's got a decision to make. Either we try to get pressure on the quarterback and give up some of the underneath coverage, or we let Dusty Burke sit back there and try to find a guy that while we're dropping 7 guys in coverage.
We've had 2 great games, and the fans have loved this one. What a great game. They weren't sure it was pouring this morning, but then the rain stopped about an hour before kickoff, and they've loved this one. All right, Illinois State from 1st and 15 from their own 48-yard line. Burke unloads it. It goes to Watts. Watts out of bounds at the 49, just crossing midfield. Short gain of 3 yards, bumped out by Corey Pierce.
And what Dusty Baker is doing, he's very conscious of trying to keep this clock stopped after every play. But what he's got to realize is that that's what Indiana State wants him to do, is throw the ball short and to get out of bounds. What he should do is try to hit them in the middle of the football field, because it gives them plenty of time to get up on the football and stop the clock.
36 seconds left in regulation. 17-17 ties. 2nd and 12, the down and distance. The ball is just across midfield. The redshirt freshman Dusty Burke. Again, Illinois State has had several fourth-quarter rallies as a diving catch made by Ricky Garrett at the 36-yard line. It is short of a first down, so the clock continues to move. No, they're going to rule it a first down. They're going to stop the clock to move the chains. This is where the rule is different from professional and collegiate football. They put it at the 36. And once the chains are set, then the referee will put it in play, which he does now. Half minute left in the game. Burke to the sideline. Gets it to Watts. Did Watts get out of bounds? He did not. And now they're calling for Burke to spike the football. Clock moving at 19 seconds left in regulation. They want Dusty Burke to spike the ball on 2nd and 6. He does so to stop the clock. Now 13 seconds left with a 17-17 tie. The down and distance, however, is 3rd and 6 for Illinois State at the 32 of Indiana State. The longest field goal in the career of Jake Strader is 40 yards. 40 yards, which would mean they've got to get the ball down probably about 10 more yards roughly to get it within his range.
Yeah, they do, and that was a big play, because if you're going to stay in bounds, you've got to throw the ball downfield. You can't throw it to the flat and get 2 or 3 yards and then keep the clock running. They should have gone downfield with that football if they were going to stay in bounds.
And if they don't get a first down here, as now timeout is called by Indiana State. So the Sycamores call timeout, allowing Illinois State some more time to set up a play. But if they don't get the first down here, I'm not sure they'll have time to run the field goal unit out there and have a chance to get the field goal off. And if they don't, again, it'll be in that range, which is kind of iffy for Jake Strader.
Yeah, they're in a situation right now where they've got to either get first down yardage or get out of bounds. They can't complete the ball in bounds and have this clock continue to run. They just don't have time to run the field goal unit out. They've got to make sure that this clock stops somehow, whether they get the first down yardage or get out of bounds.
Illinois State trying to get another comeback victory. Todd Berry, fourth quarter rallies, including coming from behind by 22 points down on our game 2 weeks ago when Illinois State played at Southwest Missouri State. But you see Dusty Burke chatting with Todd Berry. It's been a big game for some defenders, including Sam Young. Right around 16 tackles for the game and a pass broken up. And Shannon Jackson and Troy Lefevre also for Indiana State have been very big. Well, the Gateway Conference, the most exciting 1AA conference in America. This game is boiling down to the final plays of regulation. Burke's going to be in the shotgun and spreads them out. 3rd and 6 at the 32. Burke sets his feet. A pass that is caught and out of bounds to stop the clock at the 20-yard line with 10 seconds left on the clock. Outstanding execution of the out pattern. It was caught by Troy Hunter.
And watch Corey Pierce, the defender, right here. He doesn't get wide enough right here. You see, he's looking at the quarterback. He's got to find that receiver because he is responsible for all that area out there. But he gets caught inside on the numbers and allows the receiver to get outside for a completion, which was huge. Not only was it a first down and it stopped the clock, but it was a big gain that put Illinois State in field goal range.
Jake Strader will try a field goal. They will put it down at the 26. It's a 36-yard attempt. Strader is 5 of 6 this year. The placement is down, and the kick is up by Jake Strader, and the kick is good. He got it with 6 seconds left on the clock. They dogpile Jake Strader, who nails a 36-yard field goal with 6 seconds left in the game. And Illinois State leads 20-17.
And you can't say enough about this quarterback, Dusty Burke, who comes in, very little playing time, and as a freshman, and just drives this football team down with a minute to go in the ball game and gets them in field goal range.
I was watching him on the sidelines as the defense was trying to hold Indiana State, and he was like a no-doubter. Let's take a look at the field goal again. He hit it strong. And Strader knew it all the way.
He knew it all the way. As soon as he hit it, he knew it was good. And I tell you, there's no better feeling than that. And look at his teammates. They are excited.
An all-Gateway kicker, and one of his teammates is Ryan Spielman, who was the injured quarterback earlier, who had the injured shoulder, was driving that injured shoulder into the celebration. Jake Strader. Now, Indiana State is out of timeouts. Their only hope is some miracle kick return here. But don't forget DeJuan Alfonso. He would be the guy that could do it of anybody right now in this stadium.
Yeah, but he probably will not get his hands on this football. Illinois State will probably just squib kick it down there and hoping one of those big linemen will get it. And they aren't very much of a threat to take it all the way.
How about Indiana State? They continue to just get frustrated. This would be 6 of the last 7 conference games lost by a touchdown or less if this holds up. Strader will try the squib kick. A squib kick, and Alfonso is going to get it. He's got it at the 15. Alfonso trying to find the crease to try to run around a little bit. He's going to pitch it back. It goes to Nelson. Nelson is shadowed. There's nobody to pitch it back to. Now Nelson is looking for somebody to get rid of it and fumbles the ball late. And it's going to roll out of bounds, and the game is over. Illinois State gets its second thrilling victory in the 4th quarter on our Gateway Television Conference Game of the Week. They lose Kevin Glenn, their all-everything quarterback, and have to turn to a redshirt freshman, Dusty Burke, who leads them to victory, along with a Jake Strader field goal of 36 yards with 6 seconds left. As redshirt freshman Dusty Burke from Tuscola, Illinois, leads the Redbirds to victory as the 7th-ranked Birds, in exciting fashion, beat the Indiana State Sycamores 20-17. You have to feel for Tim McGuire as his team loses yet another close game. They go to 0-5. It's the worst start for Indiana State since 1958.